na yede ebe so mo ye ne samanwa sebe ya uko news stands ahodo na hu nkrata abedwa so ene ensama ewo of course budget na edimu akotene tetefo na se budget mrewa se budget nti budget na ebedimu akotene se Obed ona Akua Asieduaa eti edwemu dada miso medi de na nama intifo ebusia good morning na mhoye
atom
but say if you want na ya okaka brofu bi o say area no wakanda na budget store no baka no budget
ono oka 10 o'clock okuro ti meka no e ka fere chire betimi aka o'clock 10 kwa
una nana de o ha bi pa o to wa
ko school anko be ha dwe papa brand new was new brand
wow
make a brand who the doctor Kozaru was say about new brand here right too new brand
they say brand new standard they say brand new
no ne ba wa brochi what TV ama me new brand
pa new brand say fufra bai
ko school ga no ni be fia on ne bro for candy bebre
na yi trend o social media pa Dr. Amin na nkofo twabo no
me maintenance na se
yes so you fasting wo twa ntro
maintenance na se
wa so na kan ade bi ho wa nkan na ye dey
we ko kan na ye dey since when who dey no kan wo hu ne daben na net na one can previously at 2 months or so almost 3 months into opposition na fe na beka semwe some of betting tax about ntisika why mo na eje
nti die na nam ko campaign na mode nenam say ya ba we mo obetwemu no
why mo na
na we implement the ade na nam ko obetwemu say
if you ya ebe kan ho asem ebe ko fa asem ba ya ma
say join that
obechechemu no o makeka ni nyina afra for betting tax. I don't know whether they are lottery tax.
Tax for be mahwehwe din na me de amount.
For the betting tax.
Any national lottery for
the betting tax.
For the sports and na so yes sports. Boys me twa omote. So they won twa bia na.
Oh, a game of passion.
To twa bi.
No, yes gaming commission. Yes gaming commission is different from national lotteries. And also say you can say department say National Lottery Authority, NLA, can the Department of National Lottery.
Sure, say, Doc now on top of issues. I think that,
really?
That clearly he's not on top of issues. Me and say,
and he was confidently saying that
he's not on top of issues. For the reaction, they expected because betting tax started say yeah, and that is why even during the campaign of the MPP, and a GRA boss said the Ghana was making close to 10 million Ghana cedis. And at the end of the football season, almost expected around 60 million. This interview was somewhere last year, October. So for a country, tax MI revenue around 60 million there. And I expected revenue around 60 million by August. Now because anyhow they are, and definitely I was in phobic trouble on one case, and you have to go back next time. You know, one thing we need to know. When you see a kind budget, you and you see a making statement. I can't the State of the Nation address. President came here by force. No, take your time. Go and sit down, read through it. Now I finally look post. Now the facts and figures account. They don't make you a presentation. Obiaha ntimi ba mebubo munto kru but I say eba be tradition ye kasa wie ya see so they organize a press conference me can be tum from them and that is not the best from mostly the minority or the majority omunyina nya abotre na o ka ho asema no aka ho asema
no
asate no na adwokra na Gideon Boako afiase cheche no me bi ene so nti ye kwa ye ni mu no na ma okeka ye ni bi
so e de ne de ototo pa
o no ko ka de
o posti wo no na o kire nsemu o ne Facebook handle na one block comment section and Kasabe the intensive care. I don't want to go to Kolebu. Daily graphic truth and accuracy every day. On an I didn't say and pay 2025 budget, 2025 budget, 2025 budget. I don't know. I was one or say I don't come you. I don't matter. So 5 taxes to be abolished. E-levy, COVID-19 tax, 3 others listed. And also, I want some. And I work on which a minority leader. Enfoni ede aba Honorable Alexander Afenyo marking on the say budget deceitful lacks hope minority ena e asoma na ono no abebo ho amania graphic so afa bi na story no and as a full story no page 13 key interventions for economic transformation and so budget mu asemiana anope wabo ho amania ne kasepa eda graphic enimu anope which finance minister Dr. KCL ato force nimfoni eda ha chese ojan microphone enima budget ne kankan na ehumfoni ena eda yi no say government plans to spend 291 billion Ghana cedis in 2025 and so any stake ladies first
mami ntinsimu enra na ye nyina ye expect say beba so ena mpa eba so na I'm so 1.5 hours and the read ya na edoso so over 150 pages square into ya de won so oyebebu abrante woni munti wo de ne toto enkokrafo ni bi no ma ba twa na wa anye fe in terms of ahoden ne de we de no
heat
ai na we de no wani mu wo ya de pa gina ne na so sa almost be 2 hours na substance of enkomo no eno na no peye tena se yebedi ehon nkomo entam so anopa no a omo wie na wie anim no pressure na ekọ so a former finance minister address ye no misa asem afiri mu ba ya na me tie na me san bi sam ya me ho questions ne say asem ya papa yi kan wo hu ne daban papa yi ya finance minister Kesela to forcing ebobo ne o ma bi so me de no pa no metena kan na I still stand by masem ne say betting tax ne de wentwamu ankaye because sika de sabi bia ne wa ye fun ba bia ye gibie free bia no ebe coin a long brena kwakoboa ewo bibi even told dey you cry agi no so say dey be bibi enti sika de eba futo mu eye nanka ye gi tax no a ye dey discouraging nipa mebunu from akwadosem but esa kwa besi say ojaye oni adwumaye aban bi ni wa ba o create adwuma say mebunu nkoye enti kwan ono be fa so adidi no se wankoto botoma nkowi obi ade nko ade a wo hye ne kete so onyaye a wo so na you are not being fair to nipa kro no
minchawa no so no omo asem kwa no so ne say ade na omutwa omo ntandi ubetwe bia ubetwa 10 na ubedi bu
musika kodim ansa na
na musika kodim de aban o ma mehwe ade so say my bet not our bet na ade nti not our bet dia
ye cheche brofo ni nyina mu ededa so no enti wakeka ne nsam aka se 11 COVID-19 tax ne nyoma omuba ebeyi ni nyina de free because enfi ase anya adwumenti meka ne se ye beyi e de free ho na eno ane so anwumre no tie na asem no a oka ye no de compare ne economist ni bi te se Gideon Boako e kan ya ono so abubo ntokro e wade ni mpa wo se the Ghana fo bi no eboje so especially the omo ewo aban we afa no eni omo e wade no wa taking time they are reading ni nyina through quarterly they are be adjust electricity prices no ewo mu so me say wa moso afei wa mention job creation wo baby anti the next 4 years inside the na mu ya na ebe ne nam obe use to get fund they fund free SHS obe increase the cost of gas to power producers anti they all produce power to say you can say eduma na no kane anoma ECG for koto no
gridco fund
ye increase gas boa yan so na be san ba beda and only other issues are those my listening in 24-hour economy no when timi anka wan asem so san kote omo kote committee tina che sade ne kra no omo think it through ye ebinum afiase omo read no omo wonim de osika sem ho no omo ka ho asem ya tena se no pay ye ne economists ni bibedi nkomo no omo through more light e de atoso ama ye na ye hu nti so far no we fulfill constitution emra say e was a read budget nti enkosi 31st December 2025 no sika aban no ede ebebo oman ne ho bra no de atodwa no emu no allocation sika no eden ya ministries ni sectors ni bia ni bi nyepe na so the minority for ni bi afi ase reason say sika nko ayetwa ede akoma philosopher Sukwache ene Shamima wo so mu nyina wo eyi baako president wona vice wona so ye Nana Pratt sika nko abro be 78 billion ede no mo de koye no so your channel a bit me ko baby for ya tena see you be pepe ni nyina mu na ya hwe ehu asem
Obed
well I think sir no budget in the major topic in the taxes now the new government a year free ho now one particular one a very issue by the betting tax because clearly from the figures are now a free betting tax no bano. We are looking at around 15 million Ghana cedis, and as an American 60 million by the end of August. But now e-levy my 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. Tine say baby a ban be risk campaign betting tax.
E-levy.
E-levy.
Betting tax near when nipa ni wini, and the obe wini na o te person even o wini pon wan scanner. Okay. When we need na scanner from the app at the abani phone so and at that withholding tax neighbor and the omote dada and at 10% ebeba. And clearly you nipa broma wini a gugum. Whilst time are from announcement, both political parties start here announcement say betting tax no be year few and nipa broma wini a gugum and what's even the percentage of a year a win and for a year as compared to the deposit. So I think say if you have more about tax or more it should be the betting companies because the obi deposit be and only enter a percentage as tax in free, not the obi win because any now the shema returns never. Baby a scanner copy based on the data the and follow do go account and whenever you pass it on to the company, not the customer. For political points there. And in terms of sika ban there, betting tax in there and first kapapa biemba, and as compared to other tax, especially e-levy, because e-levy is our 1%, you know. The number of transactions amount for you every day. Wow, be send you bet the obere draws you bet the one particular sikano, ye jeha. Into no disca be bent no, we free wa or money disca be chain betting tax. And again, say sister queer cano. Betting tax no and discourage boys from betting. It did not.
When you said that, obey
and discourage your man. You see, betting. If you want to take it out of the system, let's give the youth hope. And I say, "No pa maybe nipa asoria. Ubu obe soria ba bigina dum obe ton atade. Oniska the transportation pen or the baba. Nipa ni twa be oni wia na otwa atade ni wia ase no. No wasere na jibi. No de akogina kwan oton wia. No nipa ni sika be no atene percentage. The youth are not lazy. Mabunu na okruma na ka akwadworo a. Yes, ubenya bia ya akwadworo ba.
Adwuma wa nkomo be ye.
Epe adwuma ye. Omunya bi. Enti betting more hope. E more gidie say obetimi de ketua bi akwa akwenya kese. And that is why they are into it. Banka nipa na on the source of income. A onim se bosum bia so obenya we a. Enye nipa nyina na de omusika we kwa akuku eche. So for political points there, I think say taking it out, no. The NDC have been able to fulfill their budget and a target audience. A lot of youth, even adults, and a man in even doctors, big people was score political points. But the question I'm for beside is taking this source of revenue out, how would the government finance the various allocations that one make it to maybe a good born, women development, one make it to those Ejuma or see Ejuma Uranes and your money Sikaben or Befa
big push, no need
the big push near the gold bondi. Sikaben or Befa. I think maybe they will have a plan for corruption. Because corruption so ma or man is
also tax
in Tibia, so move fight corruption, they are etia in Tokrun to crank or for fast years cadia. Maybe a number boam scanaka a buying food to no moment in their bo a your minor hobra.
Young call your name Chronicle, the Wakata, and ye na and Nimu Fonica said anyway. At 2 force na answer, I mean, at 2 force na. Okay. At 2 force confirms NPP handed over a robust economy to Mahama, says Dr. Amin Adam. Do a 2 force and finance minister and local parliament. Won for ni we twa so
when you teach na omo ana
so omo ina dey pepe
no osafuma fu no obi
setepe
omo nyina
and for Ghana bounce as Ghana you for some say ya dey da
wo ba na dey ama
wo ba na dey besi ho ti wo ba na so abefa na wo dey ato adwuma no nti ono so bag na ekuta na eno de kokopie mu e wo parliament e de oman na akohomabo e de kotu edwa eno anu na emu nsam de eno na yedidi mu enkomo no ase ha na o se Bank of Ghana seeking 53 billion Ghana cedis bailout from government after forcing reviews. And also so a budget ni munsam na bi ena ewo ha no your quotation nso so ewo ha say Obed ba me sha say so so assembly bi wasoro Cecilia Dapa first accused ransacked my storeroom. And also, Honorable Cecilia Dapa, a former sanitation and water minister. And then some I beba by say, not dollars be a one fear. They made the phobia area, a cook film or quarter, and once some no so I also, and then Socrata abong amani.
Yeah, so, Mammy Sissy say, Scanego in the storeroom, then go and pass it. Na she's rich. Nyamesha mameno. Because sikana ayebo no se when ya bobisua kayembesho. Just imagine also $761 million. $760,000. $760,000. And I want a storeroom. Now says can you kasi park here? Let's leave it to let's leave it to the public. Nyamene share mameno. And na nipa boni food ya kwa court be fasona or this nipa boni for no be famra kwan so but ebimu didi pa and ebimu so ADM ya based on say what means save with this amount a year or storeroom it means a lot pa na yambra a budget no so the NDC is trying to tell Ghana for you say economy no mo take you over na economy no any good standard. Adams, doctor, so say there be economy normal handy over at the MPP age in a year, yen final credit and cancer. The MPP did not handle good economy. Yen age to say at a point the economy of Ghana na a crash down. Nay, here we're building. We are talking about economy. I say your man call for a haircut to meet the IMF a year demand. Everything your man saka the various loans everything the abu of my Ghana. The economy engineer to the extent that there were a lot of e-levy they buy, then they levy buy. E-levy they buy say oh your baby project, your baby routes. We need that. As you started to bore free a year Timemufona and Sana acquire hodo. I don't remember so kai e-levy. Time I no more di common or more promising Ghanaians the e-levy by Amaya. Then Chelsea economy ni aging a year because at the point normal say e-levy na mba esi akwa IMF. E-levy ni buy you same years akwa IMF. So the economy was not in good standard. Just that enye no so near ba betenase amaye an excuse for the new government. Because namunim from even a distance during Mahama campaign I say Mahama kansisu dia say on hyehyebo bebre because ogidi say oba befa oman a yesi kasem no da form pa to on be hyehyebo bebre no ba wantimi andi so. Nti the NDC no munim say economy ni enye nti edu ba bi a eya yenka no krenkyere ho na yenti ase se ade na enya enye na yemboa manipa na wa take over no enye ni ye ye de no be excuse kakrama the NDC amomo ade friend the honeymoon period ye momo bre amomo na tintim but after be 1 year after be 2 years ye nsam begin to say mo be ka che say economy na mo fine na enye they have to get the job done omonye na ntimi konanim. For baby, I hear me pie one thing about uncompleted projects. Any project as an ACA. According to Ato Force, and also be taking Ghana 12 years to complete these year projects. ACA. 12 excuses but in fear do me no dear. ECC go mfie dum yenu dia na se dan ni se sin abugu because nsu e beto agu dan so awie e bebo agu dan so no e dan na hoden a yesi a yeja ato wo no se 12 years ansa na e be wie some of these projects se ne na se be duru agi se sen juri ni e start for we kai konfa no chekre bi esi ho e ye maternity ward ya e se juri ya ni esi nti your project ni bi wo ha e be ja tum se bi wo ha e be cheba 12 years dia wadodo omo ntwembra ni no mo ntimi nya bi o se government be kate a expenditure in now on my fight to corruption. Dear home, Ghanaians are really watching. Ghana for home. I'm a make a fan a chronicle as me say, baby, Obed Edi fee buy or starting or no. Sana net ye, yes, be a chum, but Oshe a fee bear a fake a cry benia enormous sign. Just 2 days ago, a dear betchin Rama Omako read the budget no. Government statistician, Professor Samuel Enim ebe kan say Ghana economy grow 5.7%. Ntenye negative te say de aban no ni emu nipa e person mo portrait me nipa hwe no. Figures dey lie
obi kan was say humanities the obetimi abo otima kasem na emum science de any data no enya enlie na handing over na omo ye no edi adanse say Bank of Ghana Ghana Statistical Service ebe kan say economy na grow by 5.7%. From none and some kind be say the maintain so be etimi challenge. It's say on records no. Sa na ebe kan say a grow anya negative. What they compare time NDC air 2016 na growth near 3.8 to say 3.5. Into the compare na 5.7 ni won anim. And no finance minister air kasa wo kan say omo project say ebe grow by 4 point something. Now handy no handy obi handy over amount na grow 5.7. Now the any grow 4 point something. Na ye tia ko ye tia na se ye ko yanim. What I say? They have a lot to do. Adwuma wo mo ho a eso mo ye 5.7 na to Ghana for asum. Den ya ye wo enipa bi wo ho a mo ye adwuma a omo de nya politics nti no mo ho. They say it as it is. They say statistical service for ine omo ekeka ka ho. Nti omo nye na ye nyina ye hu say nipa ni ite e wo nyoma bebre ho. Na omo ye nyina ye be follow. Na Bank of Ghana bailout na omo hia no. Ahoche be na aba na e den hu ahomete e na omo de kope bailout ni de fra bansam. Abaye mu say onu mu nani abo abiem ahomete wo na so ni nyina mu no e den ya bi a bibisi wo mani so mpese wo ya ebeboa wo man
mo dan na mo sina na
e dan so mo se bia no e dan mo se bia no oh ye bia no mo say November no kwansa ye to aba no ye friend the bank something ye se bia no
de na san abetudwa na ho asama ye
wo commission na
akwesikura ka ho asama
the oye ho adwuma me say painter was obi na first can be wo boni tin person wo wia wo man no na me say ache no obi anu oye ho adwuma na omo dan ni de omo bia I think so omo fia say kura ye mo adwuma way before ye to aba no enti sanete say Dr. Min Adam can say grow a ono based on professor kwesi enim me kind 2 days ago you no wa ha e was story Ghana Statistical Service enti enye de ono abone tim no woka enti yebetimi akoye nim
quotation no be kan anti si
quotation me who First John say 19 ana First John 19 right wo de yenkoye nim na me yaba
yento so enkrata no krasa enti so wo birthday ya yemfanto aso na yen sorry so
there be
woni birthday na so na ye me wo fase oba so wo fase
yeah the oba ni wo fase
nti me ba
fase de me ma ne like
okay nti Cheryl owusu eje oko school wo Baptist Educational Center if you just ask correct if you mama Linda ho owo Krobia Asante and I say yema belated birthday nti Cheryl owusu eje baby girl belated happy birthday to you onyankopon show no mie wa adwene mu na oma onyini emeye
me quotation no or say if we confess our sins he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness say you can born nature we makwafo ni tini ni so de ne born be che no we you afidi na wonti confession meaning ba be fiba I mean Adam bia na say finance minister
emfama MPP for no born ya odom ye Ghana nyina de monka Ghana for the better say the next 4 years they can come with better policies for now they mean share them freely almost style of communication
slow
they should admit that they failed Ghanaians
is slow
jintum so ma Ghana for one sesi form wie no a no ma sa beteneche no ma bontokro power aban foforo no ne dwumadi anyem and ase toto agenda ne tutumu rofro oyesa na wo ma ebuo ni ni dia atemamufo ma na ekofom na yakọ ese de mbese mu twintwa akwan mu keke ese omo transnom ye strategic enye nsem bia na ese ye ma na ye he de obema na ye he ye de ese fata ese o twinkofo adwen ba so te se corruption start se ekoso a no wa ma scandal na e clear na Ghana for abo the new government na chi but say attempt bi o meteki bia no hwe from ministerial appointment
so but if
monitor ni bebre
and ebusia de wakata mu boso say Obed Acheampong the Ghana say etwa so medidi na nama into 4
Yes, so bread do sui Ghana etesen. Na ene yebedi nkomo ediafa yadusua eho nsem. Ne nyina ne yese last government no twam the MPP government ema ne ni bre adusua ho pa. Nipa ya ade a osaye yi. O the free SHS ebai ema Ghana for mabunu bebre Ghana for ma no mo ko the senior high school no bebre no eka no abai ne fa ne nyina ema parents ekomu ejo mo enye no pe ena aban ne ye dan si ahodo a osisi ediama secondary schools no se ne nipa dom a ewura mu no ebetimi accommodate omu nyina classrooms ahodo science labs no aban ne ye no ho adwuma pa. Don't forget say the last budget 2024 ministry asika call kese na Ministry of Education ntienra ne eni di yadusua ho nsem ato forcing Finance Minister Skasen ena odebeko Ministry of Education. Again, Ghana for be ahead of the election 2024. Nem komo enam from say the new government say NDC aban take over free SHS no betwam ombe dane no kura ma afie be asem no na parents say tuesika na tetetete no mutua. Tini epesi tie the Finance Minister ebeka ediafa free SHS no ene the secondary school level. And kon befa so no maintain no yenko nenko tie nsem the tuja when we read the budget, especially on education.
Mr. Speaker, the overarching concern about free secondary education has been its quality and the absence of dedicated sources of financing. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved it. Mr. Speaker, let me take this again. The overarching concern about free secondary education has been its quality and the absence of a dedicated sources of funding. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has resolved the funding challenges by uncapping the GET fund. Mr. Speaker, this makes available dedicated funding for full financing of free senior secondary school education and free tertiary education for persons with disability. Mr. Speaker, therefore, Capping and Realignment Act will be amended to uncap the Ghana Education Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, this year, the budget for free senior secondary school education program is 3.5 billion Ghana cedis. By uncapping the GET fund, we will be making available an additional 4.1 billion Ghana cedis specifically for financing free secondary education program and other related expenditures. Mr. Speaker, aside the uncapping of GET fund, we have also absorbed the debt service made up of interest and principal from the Dache bond that GET fund contracted. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have also allocated an amount of 564.6 million Ghana cedis for the provision of curriculum-based textbooks covering the following. 1, 4 sets of KG books and workbooks for about 2.8 million learners. Mr. Speaker, we have also provided for 4 sets of primary textbooks for about 800,000 learners. Mr. Speaker, we have also provided for 9 sets of SHS textbooks for Right Honorable Speaker. Under the school feeding program, budgetary provision has been increased from the 1.3 billion Ghana cedis last year to 1.78 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, representing a 33% increase. The allocation for 2025 reflects an increase in feeding costs per meal per child from the 1 cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis, representing 33.3%. Mr. Speaker, government has also allocated 145.5 million Ghana cedis to the capitation grant, up from 84 million Ghana cedis in 2024. This is an increase of 73.4% over the previous year. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 203 million Ghana cedis for the payment of teacher training allowances and another 480 million Ghana cedis to nursing training allowances. Mr. Speaker.
Enti eba adusian semu a na che finance minister editu dwa se aban fufuri eni abrese adusian onto no ajeje mu. Enti from free SHS ye dey get fund ekwa akota echiri na aboa me enye sika eda ho a efa free SHS hu nkomu nyina no enya ade a eba beye aban no eya adwendwen kese na matimamufuo ababesu oto aso de tu dwa se eba school feeding na se yenuano ma omoko school a aban ma omaduane na de bia na sika ye twa to no 1 cedi 50 pesos na baby sound say 1 cedi 50 pesos na etimi eden na mu se aban no se watum e de ko 2 cedis na se efa adesua wo se mabunu ni be ko school yenuano ketenketi be ko school na omaduane die no aban antiska no so o de kakra san ba be ka ho se o de ba ye dada setene mu ene aduane a ye didi a sika aban sese kura wa pagya bebi akoduru no enya ade betimi aso eye breakfast a ye de ma ye mane bebere wo fie nemom se odi bia ka ho de e kire se o pepa se ne nsamuto na onye sika bebere a odi bebere eden ebeka ho oto aso de koto eye teachers and nursing training allowances se odi bi so ka ho na se aban se etwa sika to ho a eka akam ene di anim nyina no de se sika no eba abeboa na de atwetwa sa aka ni nyina enti ne tofa bom a na chese ato forcing epese obo no ye se nsemu a na nam from before elections se NDC aban ba power adusia nsem no beto na jeje mu no eda eye President John Dramani Mahama eda na koma so pa enu nti ena omotena se a wo mo chiche kwan a Ghana befa so edi esika ewo kona bia no omo make sure say omo emma adusua de enkofom na embeda ne nsem bebere me sure say nipa bebere be kire o ma adwen ye bedi hu nkomo ye boy homoden se ye be call line so ne kwa na yetimi ne eye adusuafo mpanimfo bebere adi nkomo na yetie o madu disem e de afa kwan a Ghana chiche sika no whether ebeboa am ye disuasem atimi akone ni made ba ko eda nkofo akoma so po free SHS. Yes, nursing training allowances, teacher training allowances, ne da ho. And no discussions, koso, amanfo bobo, who said there be. Access allowances, no crano. Ye nyini abro, DNT, de buy. Ninani, say, emirebi a chum. Dear ma, allowances, ye buy had to do it. Nipa nem pet nursing training, ni teacher training, ako. And until allowances, ne buy. By humano so quick. Na any Mr. John Owusum Kodin Komokaka educationalist. Na yembisa ne say policies and budget yi ohun ne say good morning sir.
Good morning.
Openye na bibia bokọ de
Nyame adom yiri so mo hoye
ye hoye pa enche ne edi nkomo de fa ye educational structure no but ene de ye hwe sika Ghana ban etwa to a or they call the various sectors when it comes to education. First of all, what's the general opinion after in common course on a kakra efa also wasum?
Oh, Nyamia Boko said, you had your course or the opinion in infrastructure and everybody. Nyamini Dana, see, one pious in Minabasso. Nanko, a politics near the day. And the DBC.
Now, were you impressed? So we had the BC, but the OD can't so when it's a connoisseur pepe, a amount dear.
Oh, yes, I know the course the now we can no dear. And the nature say, a bebo man to train in the woman's. You know, the a grandpa.
Oh, okay. Now, government in say dedicate a year sikadia tour for free textbooks out the Bebuan Kuala any teachers workshop any art. Do you think these are the key problems facing the educational sector now?
You education the what can so we bet my say the education be sika nya wo papa o and say free textbooks teachers allowances this are normally na so we bet my say the what can no dia e be bo anwo mesua na me dia me wo kakra wo ho ne say ye bo asem no po kakra kasa ya na wo you asem no wo see teacher mu free textbooks ni sika say ne de ko ho adinti ne say sika ne de ko ho the dissect bia sika de ko ho e see it interrogate say o ka say school feeding maybe sika say na ko ho a e see it who say dinti na say sika no ko ho enkwara do say ne wo ho na nkwada no sie chama mako bia binya sen na ya relating to cost of living ai wo mu sisi a ni hu se ampa ade no a wo kan wo impact na mo ye bon na sa ye di sei na kwa ha ye di sei na kwa ha ye di sei na kwa ha statistically ya na emunchiri mu na edin kakra isa kai betini a pense mu am so oh yes aban no so body sikasi ene ko school feeding or disikasi ene ko free SHS nti sika na ko free SHS no enkwara do wo ho enrollment yesi nti se yesi e cheno ankran ubi da binyasi the banis had their discussion be very clear be very very good we been discussing here now said ye ni hunu no person komo busy kakra na aboa ma yetu discussion here na se be bi e fata se bo aban no abaso no ya bo na abaso be bi so wo se kasafa ho no etinya kasafa ho na imagine no.
Oh, okay. Now, as an educationalist, one kasa osha major problems being facing the sector, especially in Ghana.
Ninya say me kan krepa wadwumani mu a leadership and politics. Yana yekofano textbooks, yekofano teacher. Se leadership nya ye kan na enkosoda. Politics no say ye jai politics ne ye politicize education. We are by director for the tosa. No me political figures we do share ho. And they say no assistant. Nyamia mwa no so no assistant. Na leadership no truly speaking, you said that training leaders for education. We go outside the education leadership training. We be a head teacher, you train them. We be a director of education, we train them. Na we have a table superpower because you say leaders ne for directors, head teachers ne for jumane kura woman. Woman ni women be over the year jumano. Until jumano yet ding, ye do for workshop nuka kane de jumana shumusa. Until jumano yet ding. Politics and also so said you must see non until 20 nipa bino. And education course of maybe a better couldn't ability. And you see a bit nice had the no one. Maybe good leaders. And then my who say I'm private assessment who said test do so you hear me. The test do so you hear from what's echo. Curriculum no you hear me. Curriculum said what's your planning. Your implementation said what's your no. That no meaning nara is your leadership. Strong leadership, effective leadership. On say, ya jai politics ne who you know ni no man no maybe and proper leadership for education. So the no sahane de be. Sahane de be.
Well, Obanyere bedase na enim se afi na budget na ba. Ti afi na ebenya abotre na yeyiyi ne kakrakra. Na yekoye enim no ye do education a de hia bia ne besa abo aso e se ne be fa no specifics one initiative to the other, one initiative to the other, now one allocation to the other. Na yetimi edi hu nkomo yi.
I'll be very grateful.
Okay. Well, open your friend John Owusu and hotel and can on any coding como and I no pay edifa a year budget finance minister allocation how do I eco PM our education from free SHS to school feeding to nursing and training allowances to textbooks and yeah bro our Ghana to saying segment on Oyerepa breakfast time. Meeting Eddie Obed Acheampong with friend say Obed I had a brother coin. This particular side, let's see, health and lifestyle is next. Bye-bye.
North Government Hospital.
That's right.
Doc, good morning.
Good morning, peace. You want to
I like the color. Painting the color. I'm a mania boost to me. My serotonin is a dopamine level. I said, mania Jimmy Hopper.
You're clinical psychology.
And I know already, and I know we say, Doctor, you catch us on shattered red, no shattered red, and you food. No focus social media say we deal who, but me say we effect per colors.
Brain and casano, a powerful. Obit me dream so on him. Obet me and your contractions and you'll be a colibas, not be an nanny. Obeting test you until dear, who say affect you. It's possible we can't be in Tiase by a very possible to be bit me affect you be again.
Your dog, where the Emra dear, so Mokana say, Yinsemu, a citria dear no. Mokano just gestational diabetes. Where the my 2 dinner and the same pa train.
Peace and pay me chia, my phone. I mean, chia, Director General Ghana Health Service, Prof. Kaba Akua in a special way. Major Mediso Kumasi Asa Breaches and pay a annual performance review, meaning say Otim. Michiana Kwanson Koso.
Yes, when some drop for a baby.
Michia, Dr. Adumako Boatin, Regional Director of Health Services, Nim Penny for no more Shanti region in Mamo Mamu, Juma Moye, Yamin Shawomo. You and opeka gestational diabetes, and here Kenyan say, Oba, is it yari only bida? Na onyin sen ye, near who send a situation air costro. So, any offend gestational diabetes. It's a situation when ya were bra, one ya moon, so one yama wouldn't be. What won't so an ira, any offend gestational diabetes, and I sit yari yan yin same.
And no science by dear never more who number you be ana.
You made us say, do now, no, you.
obi betimi aba ho wanyin sen foforo oni bedi nkomo na obehwe ne ba owo ne kese obehwe se bi kura ne nyinsen bi akoda ne wu woni yemu no na akotwe wadwen aba so se ene me checking hwe bi na gestational diabetes na sabre no onyaaye make us be aba foforo pa first 3 months no hwe kura bi a won ho hwe na so oku anim 24 weeks up to be 28 weeks no e wo test aye wo di be hu maaku no munya nsunsanso ni bi yensa bi anipa no ye mredodo odwonso bebre nsukom de ne tentem da bia nanum aye dry so odidi bebre so a weight na nhya dama ono odidi saa so onye kese so eno so yensunsanso na nyinsa mu de do no a mu show sign bia je se wa wo hwe na akohwehwe hunu se ebia ye nana obi kura timewo akwa ne beto ne ehwe ne kese ase yen ka check ne sugar wo be check ma me ne sugar no na e wo so be check abofra ne ya wo ne de no na e kofom
ne sugar kofom
ka we nhunu kra obetimi ahwiri mu
kita hodie be ne wo saa akwa ne sugar be kofom na ne ma me de mu mo soro ndem
se ma me no de ne efe bi insulin na wudidi a sugar na ewo mu no carbohydrate na ewo mu no sade ko hye ba bi ese ekọ ehye ne pepepe na ese free moja ne mama so ate kama ma me ne de no insulin ntimi nchi ntentem so anase enchi eso ate de ma ne basa ne se nyinsen na nkasa na ewo nuro bi echi hormones bi echi a hormones ne ma efe ne se diabetogenic hormones e ma wutimi nya wo sugar cholesterol sa na nyinsen tie nanso nwanwa se nyame abo body ne se enam se sa enuro ni chini ntine body ne nso so eye ne ma ekuntia ma sugar ne balance nipa kakre be se 2 to 10% of pregnant women no ntimi imbalance no nti ada se pancreas na echi insulin no brain na obedi di na ese nke echi ne preko pe no ntimi nchi ne ntente ma ne mesisa esichire ni free moja no anase echi na dodo na aba enye enough ntimi nya adwuma na ha enti yakwaye ne se enam se esichire ni wo moja ne bebre no ekwa akoda no so ho na placenta nim se na moja ne se me fe nsue na me de esichire fra ewom bebi a mehwie egu bia no esichire ni wo enti ekwa akoda no ho ekodu akoda no ni problem bia owo pancreas eye adwuma nti pancreas ne ehu se sugar na ba bebre no obechi insulin ni bebre se obeyi sugar no e de akohye bebi ese ehye ti wo yi na o de kohye bebi ehye sugar no so e be ma ma ayekese ti bo ta akoda no wa ye kakraka insulin no so wo sro nti sugar ni we ma na eyi no onya wo ne beto wo sesi ya kima supply of sugar ni hobium so won say ya twa placenta ya twa fruma no nti ma me na si kire ne ma akoda no hobi oda aba asase so insulin no so anu wo chi no enya hunu se ese ne sote afi na ebe balance ne ho nti eda so wo moja ne nti sugar kakra na wa akoda ne insulin ni mo ani nyana ne na kwhye ba bi ese de ne ko na akoda ne sugar ne ko fom na efo ne hypoglycemia no so timi kuma abofra no nti sa na ho no etie
wow yedi komo afa nyinsemu esichire yade ho nti ho hia se wo ye penfo na potential mother obetie mema ni nyina mutie a ebeboa mo pa na sa diabetogenic hormones so se de no so wo be fanyi nsen a se na bi mo prepare se wo be ese wo be fa folic acid ne wo be didi yi ansa na wa nyinsen se de be abobo ho ba free akwada no so obenya adwene mu ohaw bia ho se wo be fanyi nsen obetimi aye bibia wo betimi aka se wo me yewe se de be ya me sugar enkosoro ewo menyinsa brem se preventive measures bi ewo ho ana
see me da since me gina smart risk factors edin kwa be ma wo bi benya na obi so nya wo age keke when you now 35 years unyinsa nya obetimi anya bi kwa na odi kan wo mensa nan ba afi no watra 35 no obetimi anya if you are free mo se esichire yare wo fie ho a wo risk one kasa so mu edu bebre efe bibi BMI body mass index se wo tra 25 wo kona eje se abroso yenyina ya abroso ne nam ho wo se dia enti BMI ne cost bebre so a risk ne wo ho because a man say be body ni mu a insulin resistance insulin ne kura wo ho a enya kwan enye adwuma te no so wo ho e na obi also kura na wo yetia se ne awote wo tia na nso ne nyinsen bi onyinsen ye no onya bi nti ade bi etimi si no esipen a genti adada ne so nye so na ti esipen ne de easy kura se be sen yesi ti risk factors ne ebi na mabobo so enti no enam se sa risk factors ni wo ho no nti no ye woni ma obetimi aye obi a ne mu edu pii sa ase na obenyinsen no wo so timeti a ye ha nso de ma no bebre onyinsen a on plan ma ko ne o pa awo e no no de okọ hospital na so o pa awo nti ye ne we nti e bi obeba na ne mu edu obi ka ba na ne pressure wo so na wa control obeba ne mu edu ultimate to ne for sound diet ti wadua no so ma starch carbohydrate no emra from exercise at least 30 minutes walk a day ni nyina utimi ya wetimi aboa a control e na wonya nyinsen ne kra if be pre-diabetic condition depending on your situation so wa ko hospital na ye treating infertility it me kra diagnosis say o situation ye pre-diabetic risk factors nso ebi nso ye polycystic ovarian syndrome PCOS ne ye condition bi a sa ma no ebi afi wachima ye 4 5 ochima ebi a be bosumi mienu no nchima ye omo mota chima no omo ye den a omo tra 35 days iko asa no wasan chima on tu kosua ntenten sa ankrofo no omo nyinsen ho odin ebi nyinsen on their own but omo nyinsen ho odin eni enim se onyem soso a obetimenya diabetes nti ya na omo soso ye mani ko omo ho nti na am se the condition ye nim dadanti no so onyinsen a unim dia obeye ne diet wo ho obe monitor obe check ne sugars na ehia so ne to edo so awade na to so te no so wo ho te preventive measures ne bi no
na yetimi tu ase kra na
diabetes
e bia yemu se aba no mbo ye ndem
unya wo asa enti no se eba ne ye do to edo so mpo a eda a wo be wo no ye mo waduro e de ani be hwa se so eye pregnancy na de ba ya na se bia na e wo ho e na ye nhunu na nyinsen na ama ye nhunu on se no obi e ma na ni da ho hospital bebre a ye sheda ko hwehwe so ye sheda mo ye test ye hunu glucose em ye stress ye nyina ye nim kanina na exclusive breastfeeding ni ho na e wa akwada ese man glucose ye hunu glucose ye measure anopa na wada nyane na oni di ye no na ya check your sugar na mum ye check sugar na se ye wo level bi a ebro a ye hunu sugar ne ma okra na che se abro so dada enti en check sugar na se ye normal a na ese ye kan hunu se painful sugar ye normal no eni nipa a onyem de enye pe se wonyema sugar no 5.5 eni se ebro wadanya ne no pa na ye check sugar no but normal person ekwa ko 6.3 6.4 depending on fairness chemicals kwa mo de ye no obi a woni range 6.2 6 up to 6.4 enti se obi ko check ni sugar painful anopa wadanya ne oni di ye na se kwa ko do 6.5 already no ya bonus suspect so nti we make come se lab ni bi tia utimi ka se obi nko check ni ekoye oral glucose tolerance test na meka se ye hunu glucose no o check ya ebi a fasting ne kra eda 8 no asan hunu sugar no ye bi enye ne sa ti ye check da se ye normal dia ye be hunu sugar ye measurement ebi 75 grams ebi 100 grams ye measure mount na se onomu a na afia the time ato ho 1 hour ni a check ya wo wonsa no ni a check sugar no 2 hours ye be check 3 hours ye be check na afia ya toto international figures ho ni e hunu se 1 hour no less than 10 any ye 2 hours less than 8.8 ye 3 hours nti sa na yesese no but the figures ni mienu abnormal a e be ma o ye be hwe se ehia diet modification a ye be ye ehia treatment a ye be ye edru a ye be ye obi kura duro no wo be check be wi na de nam no na ye panie na eso wo de ne to so say yes I go to hospital at least one kokra be 3 days ye obedi na ye de wato panie no so ye de to panie no so a the nam ye no 48 hours so awa panie no na afi ya check e be glucose profile anopa uni di ye be check sugar no udi breakfast we are na ya train 2 hours na ya check e ubedi lunch a hu aduane na ya check sugar no udi we are 2 hours na ya check e enwumre ubedi we udi na ni a check would we are 2 hours ni a check ni e dey atoto figures ni ho ahwe say a controller na fi say eye na obetimi akwa eno so panne no oda wototo ye dey wo ese yetimi kire okwa abefa so wa obewo wa dey anse wa kofi enye obi ade na ye panne obi wo ho no ma eye futu aduane e say ye ma ne tua na no wo ne ma bi ho senya obi ni enye mo nya diabetes a otua na ne ho asikire ho no saa na we so etie e kan hu no say enye asikire nko an ade e say otwon ho aduane a carbohydrate ne dose no starch aduane wo ka obi adwen banche ho enye no kre banche bode emo dokono ebru aduane yi bibia e de enkwan e ka na abomu ka ho abomu ne enye starch so ho enam awore ne enye starch nti yakasa hwe aduane a dodo na ye starch nti e ma wote no so sa wo yon se bu se ya oho eni se wo banku ufufuo odokono so sene won sei nti wo hwe me die ya
o ye wi ase asetena awrahu
ba obemi wonu de ani ka ho se me banku te sei na ma sam kwan agu ho ana se me nkruma afro yeta wana me konto me afro yeta ho a eno dɔɔso a me di amemmen ahyesa we ya se be ya se wo me enye no kra wudi abemmen ebi amo so no wate atre mienu a try edit stew no mienu oti mienu a na wate fro ye bebre aguso vegetables are the be aguso eno no carbon ni mu bebre so ho e baba balance na ma e do nam so aguso so who cut it down fatty meat ne red meat now fish ne ade wo de bi aka ho tena se na odi abemen ye too say eni dia na jonso so already no sugar no maintenance ne adding wo de dia na jo wo de kwa akoda e na aka se nipa no obi o ha by 4:30 no wadidi awi ade chiemu wa
afa mami afa no atwesu
e bedu anajo pa no na wano yese kofedi no akwa bibia bedi me no nso ama sugar na say shoot te se wo time a udidi a bebo by 5:30 die eye no wadidi udidi nso a make sure say at least 1 to me cry ntwen be 2-3 hours ansa na wakwa akoda eno so boa yese wo no nsuo bebre now make sure say ya ka bia che say wo bi a wo hospital ko time be sure say be check your sugar so be ko utimi ka say obi yare on want to on read mu na oba ho na na check your sugar na say e wo so onu ohunu hwe ti na e wo ka na on te eduru a wonom fa ho be kira oma emwa insunsan so obetimi anya complications e bi ni sa kwa betimi ewu oye quality me kakraka je say ye operation e de yi no so obi also cry na kese ni nti e bia no onso pii se wontimi nwo wantimi anane ne ho e bia no de ne to na eba na se wonwo da wo ye dan a yese ikotwa enti akoda bi onso a onso mro se ma me ni ntimi nwo no ma me yese wo chem na obeba na ne bia wa ni tinaba ya na efe bi Peterson phenomenon Peterson no won se baby no ka se sugar ne ma ne ye kese ti otimi body ne ye kese aba ne tini ye normal size sa na baby na oni ma me ye diabetic no wo ba ne sa na otie tini pia you know metre no ye broad na abeka enti wontimi mpie ma shoulder dystocia wo bi are ho me hu bi ade nipa no every baby abepie confirm no choment me but a simple procedure ntitete ho but body na kem a simple ade a ya etimi di akoda na yo se na epeja ma me na etimi yi na a simple kra nti no so your complication na betimi anya akwant me kese awo ni mu no oyeba na bia na nsa ne ba akoda ne ho wa pra ene uti anye yi no anye sa hwehwemu na ehu sa akwa ne sondodo na ma me ne chem ne beto ho na ne nsa ana bibi kwa ya na obi ba be ha wadwene wo ho obi oso bebre yenim se akoda aso na se ye wo na etimi ti ma me na se kakra yate etimi paapai bro so ana se ebi kwa na ni ehunu se ese yete was ye ehunu ne se eso saa ma me na wa na se timi tete eprepra no kwa mbone so anti complications e di ba na ebi nso no e na me di kan se akoda na beto so etimi film se nyese baby e won ne ani wo ho ne ehunu a ni sugar ne ko form awada fon no okọ sugar ne ko form hypoglycemia so eno no.
Wow, nti onyimo akọ hospital ntentem na yenhwe na emmoa ye ma waduru nso a na wanom obi o se medi mawu no so doctor ye da se pa bia do contact betudwa anom be hawo ya na bi from 3:30 am
Oh, send a message. Okay. Yeah, WhatsApp message. No respond.
Okay.
The number is 0246
0246
334
334
981
981
0246
0246
334
334
981
Adansi North Government Hospital opa ko ho be doctor o ye pemfo a mo kafta town okra de say
Fomena
Adansi Fomena Hospital no e ho okwa be hu Dr. Abna do yours. Doctor, many thanks for coming. Yedasipa. Dr. Abna do yours and I ops and gynae specialist. And you know Eddie and Komono. I've been too much. Midi Eddie PSC lady change over. Me move over na fe Acheampong be take it over or the more crossover or the OBT agenda enable. Encantadios. Adios.
for Yamamunina Aquaba, Edeba, Obiti Juma, eso. A brass to say a better say, na Yari Komo, Eba, and also says, see, oh my Ghana, emo, ni titu, never be a dear, ni Beshakasiano, a budgeter, and run a king kind course, so, Ghana Parliament House. Na ansana, ya dear no one come bebano, Munina Mun say so be from Medicain. Ano pay me wo nrabafo mi no ene crutch baako ya omo free Christian Service University a ye wo Kumase ye bedi nkomo beyond the degree wo ye degree ni wie wo je first class wo je upper second upper wo je lower wo je third class ana pass kura ye typhoid no jiko didi ni bia wo wie a e de bem na wachiri ena desuafo mi ensan e bebie wo mu nuan ma desuafo aka no eni abatan po amomahu sese wo degree no ye wie a na ensan ekwan ni bebre wo wanim ya ubetimi etu me wo Lily Boache Nelson ya wo SRC Vice President e Christian Service University e ha Philemon Williams External Affairs President Christian Service University e yaban mu anko Foreign Minister ena Princess J Head of Protocol and General Assembly Member Christian Service University beyond the degree e de ben biem abusuan for me mamache me mama kwa abanso afin shapa 2025 yen shia any what to say me fa in free Lily eso Lily of the Valley Christian Service to say SRC Vice President when you den pa and my waduma we den kaya na me aduma here den
this year 2024
me patch say
level 400
oh final year course ben
public relations
communications
maybe level 300 second semester reading BBA marketing
level 400 communications specializing in communication.
Yeah, I see. Mami fa feel Lily so beyond the degree then ko fa sa
okay inti ya sade wo kan no wodi kan ye no ye mo bebre wo ho a ye ba university ni mu a ye problem nyina ne say ye benya first class and as ye benya second class upper or whatever it is but yet na say dwen hu say dodo na so after university no na ye de sobo ni nyina akobo aban ye mo bebre na ye fa school ni mu ye ma school ni mfa ye mu eno nsi no ye be school no ye twen say aban embe ma ye edwumanye ebi wo ho so a de onima ne de school ya kwakire no bibia nka ho biem nti no ye dwen ho ehun say we can build a personal brand for your students no any mpomo munye students we can maintain a healthy work life balance ye betimi steady mental health and so ya de ho hia and then po na Nyankopon adoma bra se kakra kane no nka beti yes school na bi wakune ho school na bi wa hya ne ho akonfo usually ya na Ghana hanum say no mental health serious into no obi wa problem cry even though there are psychologists school mo counselors wo ho no yenya opepa no say ye be kɔ ne omo akodi nkomo because ebu asem no cry psychologist no cry tia osro into no we thought of all these and ye share say after degree no den biem na wo ho into ye to yensa for ekuku dam ene mpanimfo a omo ewonim wo these fields wo share ye theme na apart from beyond the degree no your sub theme a ye friend no building a personal brand maintaining work life balance and keeping a steady mental health eno na ye theme a e beyond the degree na say nti ya fan kofo a mo sa field mu nyina so mo ne yembe kasa se mpo won sa kan degree na wie when your first class dan na be ma wa dance nti se CV is 100 gu ha ye pick your die nti no these are some of the things I ever abesua afen so we school we ejuma obi o ho a wa ko school sa o we JHS o ko SHS no ba university nti no onya ejuma da nti o start say national service I won't say obi crack okasa na ni ma na akoye bibie wo honom nti we also want to teach our students and then omo wo abontin po mbeba program no ekwan ya obefa so be keep a work life balance enye overwhelming emma how betimi ya keep your mental health and so ye nti ni we mu nyina ka ho nti na
consider factor ya mo dia ba Philemon beyond the degree e ma na ka mo de me ma no so ya na mo issues sir
yes Ghana say I'm for degree first degree maybe second degree, which is masters, and then MPhil for doctorate. Bibrina or winning, but Christian service, SRC 2024-25 administration. Yet Nasi Edwin who said, no, say, ye school is here, Diana, Yakwakoye. Fine. Yakwa Bontia, Ebia, over train 5 years. Now a bampo young Efrel say, Branebe Juma. So, yeah, we are Christian Service University, SRC 24-25 administration, yeah, dream who said, we will make sure, say, at least, Obia, what for Christian Service mo, say, every year, no, at least, say, Ebia, Boba Mani, now be creative cra, a quan ben soon I'll be fa, I'm a sa nebuta ye we, no. Aba super pepe say ebia me we school me pese me ye business bi ebinum start with ebia adamphobia or person kwa brochi or born kakra before you realize the person will set up a big place I farm for a two coin idea. So beyond the degree no dia ye pese ye ma ntie for no ehun say Christian service one of the best school. When you come there, it's not only about the degree, but you can have something better in you apart from the degree you are holding, apart from buying a Juma channel.
Mami, answer na meko princesses. So, mami, me sound question say, who ne sa na mu nyina mu hu ne say, degree no nkrofo nya na academy bi. Ase obi kan say ye kwaje na wanyi bi na ase wo ye yi bi wo kwa paper ye bia o. A4 sheet ya size ye bi ni atwa ne the degree na to so de amount nya de bi aye nwanwa mo hu ne se eno nko ansom bo e man krofo ana eno nti na mo come up with this
eno nko ansom bo it's me boa wo baby but se wo nimdie beyond degree no so a e boa wo ye pam and I say you share social media ya abaso ya people are abusing social media omo kan nim say obetimi build a personal brand with social media.
I be fetch uska.
Into no, these are some of the things I say you be in to it. Na enra na mene princess share video be ni who say influencer be ato a brand new car, a very young lady, and then we're talking about her. Chese. And we're talking about her na I can say if you have a personal brander obetimi building ye kra na influencing ni sebe enya ro ne atemdidie no nko a intino you may have the degree e bi kra na obetimi enya degree nko na o compound do so be obi
a lot of people here e wo degree ni bi kra o masters a enya degree ho adwuma no wo ye
yeah
minimum one guy bi Pakofia Anson ba tech ha so be biological sciences so biochemistry fine guy. Na totiaboso kind of papers. Na you can imagine.
Yeah.
Nti degree ni dey bie wani woni o ma bi ho. But not necessarily say degree adwuma nko na abeye. As university universal. E was say bibie usua bi. Ye kan economics awom, ye kan sciences awom, ye kan we nti benkuma anye yi I can follow nifa. Na wetumi dey aya princess beyond the degree. We are degree no e dey be na wo wadwene mu say wo pesa wo ye. And I will train white collar job bunebia.
No. And it's an edit program we abano. You who say for degree, a degree. After that, no go on crown about school because then my miss you on degree. It is through the school, no, you will learn new things. And it's an edit program we bano. We go on no more after school obey it. It's a program with more motivation. Say, oh, so me after school, me be say I'm home without depending on say government and employment.
5 years when you be not to
we used to be more build one customer brand. You know school, I think say be the same. Then I be why I stand out from the other people. Program we be bow I'm the one customer be the more we different from other people. Into a very educational to help all of us know where we stand when it comes to the work field, when it comes to our community, wherever we find ourselves. We'll be able to say, this person stands out. This is why I decided to say, this program.
Friday, 14th March. Beyond the degree, you know, we are going to learn about how to build a personal how to build a personal brand, maintain a work-life balance, and keeping a steady mental health. Friday, Christian Service Auditorium, we drew Santa Star Junction now because I Christian Service. Obia Betro by 2:30. Na yenyi na ya tenase.
More mpanyinfo be kasa de akyerɛ mu san sɛ mo yɛn nkrɔfo be motivate mo
mpatwan ye won mpanyinfo bi te sɛ honorable Obi Acheampong.
Oh, okay.
CEO of Ghana Airports Oba any abekasa for personal branding how to build your confidence. Now I remember we intrim and run a audition for Miss CSU e school mu honom na obi begina hɔ ya yetete ona ne ho wo so nti bibi say wa school no 4 years away but you can't even make a simple presentation nti e baba be boa one e bekasa for how to build your confidence, how to be able to speak in public and it's anyway it doesn't matter say we public relations, so we program being, so we students, so we students Pacho, you know, modern 2:30 no. Yembra ho.
Obia betimi a baby.
Obia betimi a
baby. School, so we tom ko, so we den. Obia to me baby.
Obia to me.
Obi hwehwe mo kira kwan a, on hwehwe mo he. Wo telephone number bia de to dwa. Se bia obi ba na wayera, na open direction to the place.
Obi ba na wayera, obetimi afre princess.
Pacho, my number is 0246 487060. 0246 487060.
Okay. Enti number no na princess dey atodwa no. Ebusuafo ye din komo na wie beyond the degree. E ma degree ne nko a ehunu na wo. Na wadwen nya wo se magi degree awie nti adwuma bi wo ho a menye. Me de bia me ka me so wo yo ba me yo ba nti ma de na meka. Ade adwuma enye ye nimguase so obeton wo nipadua e de ama me magiska. Ye to so ne no be fa de enye wo de akoro no. Apart from eno no makokra na abeso ane ye beto ne be ma usika wo pa do it. Me mfa ho se metimi aso nsu anyina traffic mu because u pesika na wonim de wo pa ade ne nye de etia o man ne nko ade a you can feel good and do it. Ebusuan for me ne Lily Boache Nelson our SRC Vice President Christian Service University, Philemon Williams External Affairs President the same university no and a Princess Ej on also the head of protocol and General Assembly member Christian Service University. Beyond the degree, Yami admi fiada chinechi 2:30 p.m. Ye nyina beko ne yakwa kuti akohwe Me did the Akua Asieduaa ye twa ye ho aba. Na enra nkomo a ekoso ewo mrahye a efa budget no akenkan ho no. Ye nyinya videos ne nkomo ne bebre ye de bi betum ama mo ahwe bra me hwe kwan se ye befi nkomo na se videos na chi. Nti mo stand by na mo hwe de course ne bi ye ba e be di ho nkomo. Ye ba sese
Total revenue and grant for 2025 is projected at 223.8 billion Ghana cedis, or 17.2% of GDP, up from 186.5 billion, or 17.4% of GDP. The projection is underpinned by non-oil revenue measures, which are expected to yield at least 0.6% of GDP. So, Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis for 2025 has been programmed at 269.1 billion, representing 20.7% of GDP, down from 279.2 billion, which is 26% of GDP in the year 2024. Primary expenditure on commitment basis is projected at 204.7 billion Ghana cedis, representing 15.8% of GDP, which is a significant decline from 232.4 billion, representing 21.7% of GDP in the year 2024. Mr. Speaker, based on the resource allocation from 2025 fiscal year, the total appropriations for the year ending 31st December 2025 is 290,971,212,435 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, budget financing. Right, Honorable Speaker. Based on the estimate for total revenue and grant and total expenditure, the projected overall balance on commitment basis is a deficit of 43.8 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 3.1% of GDP. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing to increase the growth and sustainability levy from 1% on gross production of mining companies to 3% to enable the nation to have its fair share of the windfall. Mr. Speaker, we also propose to extend the sunset clause to 2028. Mr. Speaker, We also propose to extend the sunset cost of the special import levy to 2028. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians, and this Honorable House will recall that road tolls on public roads were zero rated in the year 2022. Demand for construction and improvement of road infrastructure continues to increase, even as substantial arrests and claims in the road sector remains. Right, Honorable Speaker, while the annual average collection from road tolls have not been significant compared to its potential, the existing zero-rated policy for road tolls has increased the situation and dimmed the prospect of raising enough revenue from tolls to road construction and maintenance. Accordingly, government will work with the stakeholders, including the private sector, to roll out a technology-driven solution to reintroduce road tolls this year as part of the big push. Right, Honorable Speaker, we will also strengthen the legal and regulatory regime for non-tax revenue and enforce the framework to improve service delivery. This will be achieved through the introduction of an overarching non-tax revenue legislation, amendment of existing. We commit to the people of Ghana and this House, the business community, that we will undertake a comprehensive value-added tax reform this year. So, Speaker, with the aim to review the current distortions and cascading structure of the value-added tax regime. Ghana's effective rate, VAT rate, is about 22%. This is obviously because the 2.5% Get Fund levy, the National Health Insurance levy of 2.5%, and the COVID levy are well added to the base for a final determination of what is due for VAT purposes. So, Speaker, aside the high VAT rate, businesses are not permitted by law to claim their input VAT for NHIL, Get Fund, and COVID levy, compounding the burden on households. Right, Honorable Speaker, our VAT regime has been distorted and rendered inefficient. It combines both VAT and sales tax principles with a flat rate, standard rate, and levies. We have requested for technical assistance from the Fiscal Affairs Department of the IMF on VAT reforms. It is expected that the IMF mission will commence in April 2025. The recommendations from the Technical Assistance Mission are expected to inform our reform. So, Speaker, ahead of the IMF Technical Assistance Mission, I will inaugurate a VAT reform task force to hold broad consultation with key stakeholders for their input. So, Speaker, the parameters for VAT reform will be is for them to complete this year. So, Speaker, the parameters will include the following: 1, abolishing the COVID levy. So, Speaker, reversing the decoupling of Get Fund and NHIL VAT from VAT. So, Speaker, reducing the effective VAT rate for households and businesses. Reversing the VAT flat rate regime and upwardly adjusting the VAT registration threshold to exempt micro and small businesses from the collection of VAT. The Speaker will also improve compliance through public education and awareness. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revenue mobilization and resource allocation.
Have been waiting for this 24-hour economy policy. The minister tells us the policy will be brought later. Hey, Ato, the policy will be brought later. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that all the jobs they promised the youth of this country was merely an Azam promise. Mr. Speaker, there is no inspiration from this budget. There is no hope in this budget. The repetition of the social intervention programs, Mr. Speaker, and then the minister complained that some contracts at the road sector had no commencement certificate. Go to the Chain Home Road. there is a road construction on the 10 rooms. There is a new road being constructed to the 10 rooms with a new runabout. There is no commencement. We did a search. There is no commencement. There is no PP approval. You are doing, Mr. Speaker, you have started construction.
Minority leader. Honorable minority leader. Honorable minority leader. Honorable minority leader. Please, comments. I have given you a privilege. Don't abuse it.
Mr. Speaker, I shall conclude my comments by saying that whereas the Minister of Finance told us that there will be heavy sanctions against all those who go contrary to the PFM Act, under his own administration, the Chain Homes Road is being constructed now. A new runabout is being constructed. Meanwhile, there is no commencement certificate. Meanwhile, there is no PP approval. Mr. Speaker, the sanctions must start with his own ministers. Mr. Speaker, we are ready for our comments. We know they are not ready, but if the minister is going to stay, Mr. Speaker, let us start the comments on this budget statement here and now, because this Azam budget, we cannot allow it to get onto the shelves for Ghanaians to think that there is any hope. Mr. Speaker, there is going to be comment to expose them. Thank you very much.
Right, it was for John Dramani Mahama and the Finance Minister, Dr. Casey Lasseforsen, about Parliament. So I'm behind the 2025 budget. And what can we? Members of Parliament, no more chairman, now what chairman, what tea to force in year. Clearly, we because say budget with year. Very inspiring. The hope at the Bembebuno or Morgan. What do you do?
Well, the hope of the budget lies in the implementation of it. But the hope of it lies in the implementation of it. That is what we are hoping to see.
Which implementation and engagement, as I say?
They are not new. A different ball game. And we are yet to see the implementation of it.
This is something that
it's good for COVID. After Nomoba set up a committee to look at all that and the co-mini. We are yet to see. We are yet to see. It was statement. After now, one will say all can and normally be a hot man. Or see we've delivered. And normally be also we are delivering. And here, COVID a part of the delivering.
Into one way to describe this budget.
Well, for me, I see it as the usual, English speaking thing. We are yet in a Makacho say the effect of the budget will come out of the implementation of it. So we are yet to see the implementation.
What be a fact?
I didn't know BBA. Man to BBA specifically, man to BBA specifically. I wouldn't say. I mean, I agree with them. If they are able to do it positive, it's good. So for me, it is. But at the back, I'm surprised, Kakra. At the very day I introduced betting tax, Mekai Ato forcing. Ato supported it, and Ato even went further to say, and Konokra the Enkabeti no yen because I say youth no. Yes, Mekaipa and Adia Bakozo say Ato so encouraging made in Ghana goods, but at the same time no she suit. Interesting.
I'm Ibrahim and Kaza. But you can't budget today quickly. You say 100 million to pay assembly members. Is it feasible? Millions can wait. The question is saying, for the millions can which are called which are illegible.
If I never can, na budget na ready and a budget.
Get you.
That be a policy. Yaka, and 100 million I did to assembly members in Ankwana out here.
Right.
Assembly members do no 9,621. Your bet will be effective after approval of this budget. But a fair government appointees na yedi omu nyina ba beka ho. Nti omu de omu ka 6,800 no na wanya 9,600 wa. Ya sisi sika yedi betua omu a ni nyina wo budget.
Njibi sese na yetua assembly members bia.
Clearly, we budgeted for 1,000 cities.
1,000 Ghana cedis.
1,000 Ghana cedis. That's what we budgeted for. For all the 9,600.
Tax account and I said tax account.
That one is for the public financial management. As for allowances, their allowances are tax deductible. And the finance minister in the same. But this is how far we are going to give to them. And it is not only for 2025. We've done the estimation, estimation for 2025, 2026, 27, up to 2028. So we're calculating as we get closer to even 2028, the 1,000 cities is likely to be increased.
Oh, I see.
Clearly, that's what
it means.
So now it will be very competitive to contest for assemblyman and win. And not only that, we are also transferring about 80% of the district assembly common fund to the decentralized structures, and we are adding, offloading all the assets and those things of the development authorities to the district assemblies. So those days that you go to every assembly and they are sleeping, this time you go there and everybody is working. Budget officer has a work to do, finance officer has a work to do, coordinating director has a work, everybody has a work to do. So we are going back to the district assembly concept that we brought in the late 1980s, and other countries will come and learn it from us.
What you told?
Oh, now hope you baby out in hope ben what minority are there no because what do you expect him to say? Or no can baby out no stand energy.
Honorable Medasi. Honorable budget in the cost amount.
Budget in it is very good.
It's very good.
Very good budget.
What makes it very good?
We don't want rhetorics, too many rhetorics. All that we want is delivery, and they have delivered. We are crying for girls for sanitary pad, and he has delivered. Assemblymen, pay them, and he has delivered. On cap, all those things. Betty tax, e-levy, he has delivered. So all we want is action, not too much talk. Don't come and tell us, and GDP this, GDP that. All we want is action, and action has been infected.
Some say that, with the amount that you are projecting to rake in as revenue, about 230-something billion Ghana cedis. The concern is that scrapping e-levy, scrapping COVID-19, and all of that will make it difficult for you to generate that revenue. Do you agree?
Are you joking with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? He has been in power before, and he knows all the loopholes, and he's going to seal all and make sure he gets the money to do the work. It's not about plenty tax, that there will be a lot of loopholes that people will be enjoying those loopholes. We are going to seal all. Look at what happened at the National Service Secretariat. If we seal all those holes, can't we get money to govern the country? So we are talking about experience and people who are doing the work. So this budget is action and it's in mind. So we are going to...
I hear you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister, quickly.
So budget of hope. In fact, the share Ghana for but say Yabeya and no Sunti or the two Abamayano and no home budget near bay. And where a minor photo some for art forcing. Said the world church our they solving problems in areas of health, education, job creation, among other areas, which means say why it's been fair to the NDC's manifesto. And in so do we know, I'm very sure say every Ghanaian be out here budget review and I come back on the young man who say His Excellency the President. Then you have to say about more minor I come watch a shiny because the promises say they be you betting tax nephew. They have you who go try my bet, super bet, 1x bet. Who just I bet in we do sika king or there's actually Ghana for say a friend say emission levy no they be you over budget here. Women come ye and also a dear fuel, or COVID tax, and also yes, a big fuel, or our tax reforms are as our COVID tax in agent a quiet cry. If you more I said there, and before no more come say, and I buy better free education more. This for the first time, government not their share budget, more make a dedicated funding for your free SHS program. No? Beyond that, your share, boss say, tertiary students, first year, will be in Tiaka for a bump.
and they are say budget machine is believing. Muamahu, they say you are making provisional. Obia walk for the first year be our own to have. Yes, I share Ghana for what say. Be a friend of free apprenticeship program. I ever boa na a year a mabune assurance and numayatimi aboa. Our budget team a year 1 million coders program. You are making provision or budget team. They promise a Jumara policy ever boa mabune no musuanya Juma at me our budget team. Nina Yashana Kama. I dear Bacos one name before the year campaign party nursing training allowance and the just training allowance. That is our contemporary is one over fruit. Your money Nika. Your man before the Kayadu Machene budget me no Mukea, Bob Nubia and Yamshin say, or Conness and I will go to test training your baby allowance nephew, Aman Yamachin, and they are budget more. Yes, here the Ashemwa, the Babetria, now will be our school yet Menacatra, and they're going to go to Ghana for each day I dare be doing the campaign say, Confoy, a person what's not shown that you are there. The more free, I was here for no cray, any Ghana for any Juma. The Yentimian or see about Montano Mocasa, dear with Yentimian. But the Waka, I also be out to Obama there, or so when now, and the Papa Mahama through out to forcing. I am a na, Yahoo fair or parliament.
What are we a Santi region minister? Budget, maybe say, Yantino may be a fast and Tumpunto, maybe a storm interchange. I don't want a Washington region. How do you feel about it?
Nina were in the budget. No, I can make specific references. Maposi, you make reference to KDT market, or make reference to Kumasi and the adjoining roads now in specific provisions within budget. No, Mariana can natural since some copy hands.
I will say for Enkomo Echegu ye nyina eye Parliament House nra na said the video no ekọ ye na ye bofri baby a finance minister na ode nsem ni tudwa no of course yentimi amobo ni nyina na enso nsem no na poso bi e na ya tase e de akyeremo nra nsem no cover sectors no almost ni nyina na ni nyina mu no nanka ye experience aye wo e wo budget reading ho Ghana as Ghanaians. And I say, you find sector by sector. You find health, you find agriculture, you find information, you find science and environment, you foreign affairs. You can't follow. That's why no idea need them shut down follow that trend. No, Tinama, the monitoring no acquire de kakra. Then soon in no. You will be a yenemo ebechano anopay. And some no or church allocated Sikano, Abuboni in so a big push an amount to the adequate education mo a cover sanitary towels and a pada was what the Bema primary for and a senior high. And Koma ye dear and I mean say maybe some when I say, we primary. Now uja JHS now confess senior higher. In fin phone, why money mom pardon be? It's answer a free 12 years air kono JHS one. Omo kra na ya dolly center. Omo bu omo nsa ya omo be here pardon no ebi. When no money nsem be break ka ho bi. Then wachi ya tete nkomo ni bebre. We say the interview no kwesi. Nim panyimfo ni di ya de odi na no sisi na regional minister Dr. Mwako Hene. Enu wachi minority group no so emu nkrofo bi akokasa minority leader ekasa enu achinsha yeso MP Era Steven Amoa ono so kasa bi pa ma no krado konya ho asem no abrante bi penabo no dendenden ma police for na mo around ntomu so ni mu enu achi masanya te Dr. Gideon Boako ene ne nsem bi ono so akeka chechire mu se ade ne loopholes bebre wum na asa omo abeka de abenyam nipa ni so se de be ya ye behu se de aban ne de ba no ye den so enya de bia eye bia sa anopai me wo mpanyimfo mienu a ebeboa me ama ya tese nsem no emu Dr. Evans Lunu or economist and a financial manager and also a management consultant me wo Mr. Billy Bonsu ono so business consultant and entrepreneur adwadifo no gutafo no ehu eno budget ne sen na omo hu ne se hope bi wo mu arehemu bi wo mu ana meni nipa 1 or 2 bi di nkomo mu ye business people omo kofa neoma omo se bia bia no omo tie kono omo de omo ante sa ebia na ebaaye de a maybe yatena si ebedi ehun komo mabedwafo me mama chi mama kwaba mama finshapa doctor de menene hia fi Mr. Bonsu na menene hia enti me mama finshapa mama fa every Dr. Nuno so wo de enra na edawa bempa wo de akwantie ni na
na mo a couple of meetings meeting bi na mesan esi abotre ehwe document no ankasa mu
okay
pense
nti watimi ehu de nyoma na nteli nyina
no full document na o madwin
okay twabi hu foni kire baby aye free any baby aye beduru nra no uhu ne se gidie bi wo yanim going forward
So OSHA document na okay. I mean, it is that realistic, and it factors in what the problems of the nation of Ghana. Problems you facing, what you say about modern say
capture,
and it means so actually be fever any hawa so far or my no a womb. Na make I say, and no maybe is your budget in Mukakra. Na I was saying information book to me budget in na be clear because we share and no maybe on bobo so mbeye. Ni no maybe a woman be free system nim. Na anka yebepɛ sɛ yebehu kwan a aban no bɛpa so a obetumi ayɛ saa normal no. I'm sure you ask follow-up questions, otherwise I would have gone into details. But you see, say wo your budget expenditure, any revenue, and they say wo touch revenue side no. Na wosan eka say wo dwumadi ahodo ne eka ahodo bi a wo se wotua. Na wan kyerɛ kwan a obefa so a obeso ano a na ɛyɛ akɔyɛ sɛ wo man crofo adwuma
exactly.
Until now come say the government should be bold and give us realistic details. Say a kwan say ni obefa so a yebe epese ye de yesu so say yebe ye do.
One can say no obi dwen say e bia woni solution e wo sa kwan ne so a onipa no right. Esa so we jade no open me kwan me ade am pese me ye ni emu kwan me nye sika me de be ye ne de unka na chese waka ne kwa na sika ne wo be kwa kofafi
nti me hu ni say ebia kwa bi so no so bi kana sa me ne wo mbe adwun kakra anansa meka say they are not too sure of what they want to do, they are not too sure of the future. I didn't know America, for example, if you want to streamline taxes by taking off some taxes, and that's at the same time, you know, you were huge number of loans are I would say services. This year alone, the next 4 years, it came over 50 billions. That's a card yenim kese pa. From February, they call August. You were about 20 billion worth of loans to service. Now say, what can say we use these taxes everywhere? At the same time, now I was here service here loans. At the same time, now I was here some major project near there. Then even as we speak now, we are looking at a budget deficit of about 3.1, 4.1%, depending on how you look at it, whether you are considering commitment basis or
Mame, what can figure idea? Mame found also figure no the two draft from Enra no kan yen ko see 31st December 2025. Was it Ghana appropriation no for the year ending 31st December 2025 290 billion 971 million 212,435. Enti said yade to screen so no. Also, Mr. Speaker, based on the resource allocations for the 2025 fiscal year, the total appropriation for the year ending 31st December 2025 is 290 billion 971 million 212,435, all in Ghana cedis.
Yes. And even if you this figure now, yes. So per the revenue anticipated. About 43.8 billion.
I know your difference nowhere.
That is the point. There's a very intelligent question you're asking. So, the budget should have done as
what
that
budget
favor.
What say be 1,000 cities. Now could the Bruce 1,400. 400 no be free.
So, say if you did 43.8 billion, what's about 3% of our GDP? Now say you sign a service loans ahead of us. Now we also want to do other project road near there. Now say what's saying taxes? Look, these taxes you are attaching, am I not less than 6 billion
and you're bad
annually?
Not just say 11, COVID tax and taxes betting tax, and MC2 become
in the COVID-19.
And I'm a kind of COVID tax.
These taxes, am I revenue, especially the yield levy, and I will be sure so share amount of yield levy the bear. It's in the range of 2 billion. It is a no crowd to me finance free SHS because of free SHS we roughly spend around 1.5 billion yearly on it. In COVID-19 could handle the yes. So if we are knocking off these taxes, if the government is not coming out with clear alternatives, say these are the things I'm going to do to augment the revenue we would rake in the course of the year, then it only throws us into a state of confusion.
And going forward, you know, when to me and share baby, you been a second be the for the year free hono. A plenty gloomy picture, my and I say, one way a better him, maybe the indigenous so ye campaign tea. You be ye free ho, can't now mine and watching Anna.
So, Usha, Abana say, or cut down expenditure, which is good. Now, share so far, the Abani Yana. It makes a lot of sense, and that is all that we've been asking for. So the size of the government itself is just too big. Now, so far, I don't share the number of ministers away, even the ministries themselves. Now, what trimming down, it's commendable. No, what's I can say? Policy like one district, one factory. Use that. Ghana case, we policy free. Into these flagship programs, obviously they had secretariat. You won't go for but the thing is, how much were we pumping into administrative costs for these secretariats? And you know, so we everywhere. Are we sure? Say, given the services I was here on our loans, given the fact that we want to devote money into the sinking fund for servicing bonds and HBI mature, and there's something the government says. You see, the government even in the interim regarding treasury bill, about 111 billion worth of treasury bill are ever mature in the few weeks ahead.
First quarter, say
yes. The Ninas were interested was yes services. So domestically, the government has that financial obligation, and externally, risk scheduled data NCBI within 2027-2028, about 73% of them was here services. So we have to really plan ahead. And to say yes, it is not enough for the government to say that we cut down expenditure in the way these secretariats everyone. It is enough. It is not enough. We need better and further particulars regarding the way forward, and I think that is what the budget did not give us details. But generally, anka the omoka somo you know, even with the free the 24-hour economy. A policy they are buying.
And it's also defer for further consultation.
But people are eager to know exactly what they mean.
Because some flagship campaign at the message the last general election 24-hour economy no. And President Berry Sona no or also a reformer finance ministry. Meboa. And also by run so for further consultation. The being so can say idea no them who's the way a back
so if you listen to him, all that he's saying is that we need a legal framework. And so for that matter, I was say labor act and other emra a beg govern the 24-hour economy now. I was say to me amendments we really need a legal framework to cover identity parliament. Yes, but the way forward, the modalities, how are we going to do it? The question is, are we going to create it or to precipitate it? Before crisis on the and
then the guy say, yeah, they be before front exactly,
are we going to influence it to come into being? And I say, I buy any person create Yankasa. But the reason I'm saying that is that if your day is idle, would it really make sense to have a busy night?
Baby.
So these are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves.
When your man and boy will be brave, and I do also that you were home. Exactly. Because you should daytime when I Juma. Nana Joa Jajo, who may name Juma do so a bro so and only a DB Kwana.
Yes, because if you look at
this Christmas, everybody will be a palm dear. And
that is what happens in so it's Amaya and as a state a more strong 24-hour economy. Say New York, California, Dubai. And what I realized about Dubai's economy is that during the day, most people are on tour. There's a idea. It is the night they come back to their hotels and they want to buy something. Emma woman is very active in the night. And so New York and Yadiana, and why economic activities in the day are overwhelming, and aggregate demand for goods and services excessive. Indeed, obviously, some firms wouldn't want to build more plants in order to meet their growing demand. They want to work in the night, and the government would have to put in place security measures, street bombs, maybe a security in some. Yes, so are we right to say that 24-hour economy is an offshoot of a flamboyant or a booming economy? So these are some of the things we need to think about. But if we really want to intentionally create it, then we have a lot to do, and I think that we need better particulars regarding that.
Mr. Bonsu, now you can the big push, infrastructure and no many ecosystem.
Yes.
Sika allocate mine na enough na. We screen is allocation for the big push, allocations to various sectors or programs. 13.85 billion allocation for the big push program. Obi bi say big push no kra there. As a brofo na confusing krofo.
Okay. Yes. So obviously, you see, one of the reasons I make us say, also I'm trying to make first. So the budget sounds okay, but information I don't know whether. Anyway, say a abridged version of it. So maybe not.
Yeah, best expansion further going forward.
Yes, and maybe conversations would erupt in Parliament. Because some of the things they say, I think it makes it difficult to properly know the way forward and what exactly the budget seeks to do. Because let me tell you something. We have set inflation target of 11%, about 11%, slightly above 11%. At the same time, Treasury bill rate it may have from to around 16.9% as we speak now, from about 25%. That huge deficit between inflation and the Treasury bill rate is likely to trigger demand, because rationally, as an economist, if I have money now, idle fund. First now, Anka Melrash the Aquato bill, but me no.
Oh, the better interest.
Yeah, because if I look at the way prices are moving, and I compare it to how much you are giving me, so if I have 100 Ghana cedis, hypothetically, now say me the 100 cedis in Equato Treasury bill, now say menya 16% on it. Meanwhile, so a normal me the 160 bit me after by the end of the year, no, now all things being equal, and then I'm 23%. It doesn't really make sense. So the number of goods and services and coming 100 cities to me at Amameno, and to me at that time. So any rational investor would think twice, putting their monies there. And once we all think this way, aggregate demand will go up, and it will be very difficult for us to achieve our inflation target. So the government is seeking to run a contractionary monetary policy, given the targeted inflation. 11%, slightly above 11%. And obviously, it sounds a bit confusing, and I think that the budget, we need to have better information regarding the budget.
Growth na or minor, you see, growth. And also 2 days ago, now Professor Ghana Statistical Service boss. Ebeka say you grew by 5.7.
Yeah.
And so I'm say finance minister Kasano say we projected see a big growth 4 point something. Tidiana minority group ni be can minority members no be can say already now 5.7 now so big group projected 4 point now we train asayana. And also how do we marry the two?
Yeah, so obviously Dr. Forsen and the team they understand economics. You see, what they did is economically rational because they are targeting inflation, and you don't grow that much when you target inflation. There are two things: you either target unemployment or inflation.
Yeah.
Targeting the two of them at the same time is a bit difficult because if you run an expansionary policy, monetary and fiscal policies, you realize that economic activities get a booming into a jumaba or but prices will also be moving up. But I hope what targeting inflation we assess money balances from the economy, and once you remove excess money balances from the economy, people don't get to buy. Until the more I'm confront on the more normal born cost. So
purchasing power conform.
So to some extent, I wouldn't say purchasing power conform. Say sikanga sangasa nominal ebiniho. So even if you have the money, you don't feel like spending it. You feel like investing it because the government is giving you incentive not to spend. With that, inflation no ebaba for
pressure no
but in also will not spend for people to produce. You understand? So the economy cannot grow. And so if you look at the fact that they want to run contractionary monetary and fiscal policies, obviously you don't have to be hopeful that economic growth will be high. What they did makes a lot of sense. What their projection for economic growth vis-a-vis their target
growth
for inflation.
5.7 and 4 point something, you know. I don't mean no. And yes, so net. Because 5.7 there's a was sort of 4 points.
You see, if you look at nominal figures, you always get it wrong. We have to be realistic with ourselves. Now, last year, yenya growth of over 5%. Na bisa ho say, sikado do saying, and even in the second for ne edim. Na senka abano enya favorable negotiations with the IMF team and one more reschedule some of our services for financing debt services for us and how do we handle it. And though we achieved higher growth last year, it wasn't the best. And remember, most of them were on commitment basis. You see, it wasn't as if say so we owe contractors huge sums. It wouldn't say the contractors cut huge sums. And that buying the course this year so because last year contractors in new money be and we only committed ourselves to it. So it is just not about experiencing growth. But growth must be meaningful and it must have impact on the livelihood of the people. Not just about and you see that is one of the reasons now we have issues with using GDP as a measure of growth. You understand? Because sometimes it could be very deceptive. And what happened last year, though I'm not saying say any comment that we did well, but it doesn't mean such we should go beyond that growth. Yes.
Okay. I was for Dr. Nunu and I didn't know so economist into say game not here pa. My member Mr. Billy Bones ho na ono so mi say ono ye entrepreneur na we business consultant nra de no mo so party no mo te ana Mr. Bonso eno mo nya mo de
yo
me so timi monetize
me monetize na o hwe
unye utie bi e beboa wo so sector e beboa mo ne entrepreneurs mo adwuma ne nyoma.
Yes, I'm say before say ya beto aba wie ebe pemende I'm say me ne business be bre hia ye entity e de amomo nti in the course of near no aya yedi nkomo kakra e fa business on economy ni say ne e ko or more expectations near the na anope so I'm say budget from Enra up to Eneno na nipa ni bi airfree to say what they were expecting say anka ebi to me APM na aboa omo ebi disappointed and the enti akwakoba ni say na enida so bebre ho before say yebeto aba no and a budget no so ne yeba be read no na nkra ye enwuma if I say kokageti am kai ye enwuma mesumi ye bi nti yeba kageti yeba magazine for share last week any woodworkers share any ye program nti yeba dum ha ne wo ne ma ye hwe ani mu say budget no ebetumi aka ho asem a ebeboa ye na penny finance minister ready no yebeka ne say eye trasa sa na ehu no say ehu say eye trasa because we have from dia na ye based on previous current government temano opposition nsembia okeka ye ma ye leadership
omune mu hyehyɛ ama mo ka asa de nka mo pɛ no yesi base bibi a ye de be flat rate to say den a ye de be to so say ade awi mu sika pa ye no ma na ye kraba mo ko yi report no eno ho good news bi ama
enti anka omba be read the budget no na ka ne ye hwehwɛ eye President Mahama Assembly or comes and maybe there's a video be a circulating of car importo taxes are a guso make kai osha it's about 22 years 22 intinanka ye expect say sa obeka che and budget finance minister every the budget no ka say sa taxes we no e bia ya teso ya UF na je say ye importo niema e de aba no na je say ya te asem de na so budget na be ready ye no ye ntumi ante bibia emfiri mu enu nti na me ka say e ye tra che say I think there was finance minister no ekọ na chi na obeka bibipa etoya so
na ya kan ya o de bibi foforo bi bebe
na se bibia emma na se be dada ye ebie mu so amsa ade a ye bebo mo aba so ye yi levia I'm saying Dr. Ayekasa no you say economy but you see the government is promoting financial inclusion. Into you promote financial inclusion, it means that you are looking at accessibility. Say you plan to me, I have access to that, and then affordability, and also a key. Into the at least since here. Osha nipa dodo na use mobile money businesses getting no use mobile money it is hard na your how kese e dey mayen it is hard way every word e be wa ban na baso na emomu no ye wo gidi o politician but ye say that ni gidi o politician in the sense anka obey 100 days maybe 50 days 60 days ye be sad way e dey free ho because we cast obey free ho obey ya the politician bet me ameye na so no menyanye in the pipeline no etumi kokodi end of their term na ade kra ye
ya be kwa hwe video on VAT said you see kan me pese besi wasam ne so na utimi de ebo wasam no mu e de ka ho na wo kan say be ye fro na my no say finance minister ewie kra na o conclude no o kan was we have delivered this we have delivered this we are the way ye free ho ni nyina the question na me bisa me ho say eno na obe kan na no ma deliver na say eno pay ye send mobile money ante yen abusafo ye de no beja ho ye nkohwe na video on VAT said you see kan ne taxes aka ne mra.
We commit to the people of Ghana and this house, the business community, that we will undertake a comprehensive value-added tax reform this year. So, Speaker, with the aim to review the current distortions and cascading structure of the value-added tax regime. Ghana's effective rate, VAT rate is about 22%. This is obviously because the 2.5% Get Fund levy, the National Health Insurance levy of 2.5 and the COVID levy are well added to the base for final determination of what is due for VAT purposes. Mr. Speaker, aside the high VAT rate, businesses are not permitted by law to claim their input VAT for NHIL, Get Fund and COVID levy, compounding the burden on households. Right, Honorable Speaker, our VAT regime has been distorted and rendered inefficient. It combines both VAT and sales tax principles with a flat rate, standard rate, and levies. We have requested for technical assistance from the Fiscal Affairs Department of the IMF on VAT reforms. It is expected that the IMF mission will commence in April 2025. The recommendations from the technical assistance mission are expected to inform our reform. Mr. Speaker, ahead of the IMF technical assistance mission, I will inaugurate a VAT reform task force to hold broad consultation with key stakeholders for their input. So, Speaker, the parameters for VAT reform will be to complete is for them to complete this year. The Speaker, the parameters will include the following: 1, abolishing the COVID levy. So, Speaker, reversing the decoupling of Get Fund and NHIL VAT from VAT. So, Speaker, reducing the effective VAT rate for households and businesses, reversing the VAT flat rate regime, and upwardly adjusting the VAT registration threshold to exempt micro and small businesses from the collection of VAT. Mr. Speaker, also improve compliance through public education and awareness. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revenue mobilization and resource accumulation, resource allocation.
Abusiafo we finance minister nsem no VAT ene ehun komonso na Mr. Bilibonso anugu asem so awoka aka say entrepreneurs and any business community ne de enra de no person mo tomante ntinya ni giesa emfama wo Mr. Bonso
yeah I'm say enra utia meaning say ohun say o campaign platform so we say if you have delivered something na e ya de a e wo hwa ye de ye adwuma but bibia ni ho a we deliver waka But the fact is, why cannot say what deliver? It is how we have delivered this, we have delivered that in the yeah, Juma or Kajitia, yeah, Juma or Makola, Okas will deliver, yeah, Juma or Catamanto, won't deliver Bibia until so which me I catch and say, Ebia ending of March, yeah, shall say ye levy, ye year through. Then we can say what deliver because there's a timeline, yeah, expect to say a Juma. Into this August word deliver, Nase, to me and my timeline says I'm real. A bit me alcohol, infame you know, a bit me alcohol, infame answer. So this is not what we are expecting. Again, I'm saying me training, I'm so at the young people or more real school. Or more pay a Juma aye, or more pay entity. I'm saying, you start.
Yeah.
If you home. Now, me find me who you me ashame. I'm saying, near that Dr. Ekano, Ebeboa, economics the Ebeboa. But young people are, and then I'm Kajitia, a real school. Or more to foods near the day, a big degree, first degree, big masters. Oh, near Juma. Sandy pay, you start to know Emma Nimdia. No onya nimdia ye so na se kakra ama otumi start bibi wakwa koyi saade e de afiri ho no wakoyi afiri ho no adwuma ben e na nipa na betumi aye enu nti no I think say ni nti ama be ka say ade no waka ne tra say o sheda ana ebo apaye e na omo aye ana say ebia nani bofa so de a any entry, but I think say, yeah, Tony, youth now, Hano, sa budget ya bay, amwa, and yenny, yes, because I can so to me industry way, near bay, a bar trader near bay, intimranti any maba, what dear woman, air say. Now, Yamra agree. I can't agree, sir, but I agree, you know, eso. Inti say na ekoha say na ekoha say na ekoha say na ebeya enne mrantie ne maba wan soso a ewie school ene omo amoba be wie no so be nya nida so say yenya ni gie say be ko agric mu no at least this set na o agric na fa ha no at least eni da so bi e wo ho inti yemfa ye ho enko wura mu eno no betumi aboa ama no so atumi a create yo in terms of job creation there me hunu bibia menim so bi ehunu dia in terms of job creation there me hu any job creation there e was budget here aban e be ready ye
agric dia no na da so nem say point number 15 was 1.5 billion cedis allocation for agriculture for economic transformation agenda enti 1.5 billion no who say enough na
yeah me who say enough and enti again I'm say breakdown so
adwumawura program them say no so share agric na sibe no so 100 million cedis and I allocate na adwumawura program ni agric 1.5 na baby a ebi so raising say kwachofu so ne Shami Mankwa we so me am say in charge of enkomodie or presidency 78 million ebi say disparity ne so
yes I think say sikano kwa akodi baby a fa bibia emre ye na ho na edoso say na de bibia bebre for instance yemra agric me ready bibia say jena ye importo is about yes $2 million a week $2 million a week and they importo e de bakana MP before started initiative here in fact manager
but a week jena need
week
every week.
Yes, that is
from Gwada to Gwada.
Yes.
Wow.
$2 million a week. Now, there was an initiative by Minim Nekoko Ye. National service personnel, they went to agric but Minim Nekoko Ye. Now, for every school. School now, and then service now no. And we can also start now jene ye krajene edeba ye krajene edeba ye kratomatoes edeba into omo service no asase ne da esremu kakra
de wako edra fa so pa nkromo
asase ne da kakra adi nti ne ma young people no enko na the service allowance na ye de ma no emfa bi enka ho na ye ntumi enye saa jene mako ne saa ne nyina no na ye nya mo e wo Ghana ha ne mpo ye ntumi export to bi but such is a way anyone to okasa say if allocated this amount for agriculture saying na airport then for me no in terms of job creation there I think say youth age because anra to I mean I've had calls I just say bebre no if he say abayano I disappoint you because provision be anywhere I'm making for them.
Me da say. Abusuan for Mr. Billy Bonsu, a business consultant. I find what joining here. Oyerepa TV suni agenda nra business I call so our parliament in say finance minister e koken kan budget no e ho nkomo na ye pensin mu ebi. Ye beba ye second part no so na fe ya makwan ama mo so mabamu bi. Ye de aseda be maboshe ba electric house akofan kan ya pa ne ho nyoma nyina de aba edwa so chandelier e free wire ye de be wire dan no ekosi kan ya o de be si mu fra bonten ade kosi fie ni nyina boshe ba electric house de aba or 3 outlets e wadum ha ya PZ woni kejite Dubai hwe ni mu boshe ba building ya ye fie ha eno ni main office no e na dum PZ antiata kufo dan no anso mu okokwa se kwa de wo socials ne so TikTok and Instagram maba on kan sa IG okokwa no so be hu no boshe ba .electric house nkane a wo be hu ha nyina ye genuine e wa ha opa na wutua e be nationwide delivery e de amount for 03220 30838 and 0536 095966 so 20 college school bi e wukuma wu nkwanta ha ya e wa santemantami mu na 20 college no waje so the pay setter was say kan kire wo say won mo eje mofra ewra senior high school 1 2 and 3 na afi waje remedials for the aka ho entuba na kotro wasi na amfa ni grace no wanya university ankwanko nya course wa pa fa ne ko 20 college no ko remedials enu ma nyina be ko yie wo mo hostel wo ho teacher fo ne ni kumofra ne ho enu ntinya de wo ma me atu school fees do akoto school mu a osori anu one nam eye ne o maboni ni bia o mo ni kumofra ne ho pa no mo results so aba over the years no 100% solid ya obi a wafa mu bi no pass akoto so nya good course eye e wo university ahodo nyina mu 20 college was say frɛ wo mo e was 0243 721 659 0243 721 659 Express Group so ye kai musa kwanti ho nkomo ene enho adwendwen ba wuti mu a woni Express Group eni enkomo wo ma bi nkrabata e wukuma senkran tema sunwane tamale ena fe takrade wo mo boawo ye hihya wo nkrata ne ma wo kwampa betimi akwaje visa no anya wo ba no so na pese ko university wo bi man so a eno so mbe school ni bi ama wa scholarship say half wo se full o obenya depending on school kra woko ene course ni grades a obenya Express Group see en kan say amai bi ti say Dubai, Canada, UK, US, Australia, Germany, any amaya kese ni nyina omo epushi adesuafo wurem saa so na apesa wo koto wa bia we live busumi bi na apesa wo de koji wani wa bruchira eno so beye ho nhihye nyina age visa de amount ama no makoyi frɛ 0555 550067 0555 550067 and 0249 000 448 0249 000 448. Meba Dr. Nunu eso ye be telephone line no. Na doctor enkomo ya ye di no ha nyina. Allocations ahodo na ode ema each sector no eno so e wa ha ntia be hwe no ne taw. Na fe ya ba the minority ne nso spokesperson Dr. Gideon Boako wawuni Gideon Boako nso e kan ne no enumre wo mafiase panchi holes ne den e wo ade no mo wo hwa 13.85 billion allocation for big push program abusafo ya kan big push na bibia bi wo mbi infrastructure kwan adan ayesisie stalled projects aban a utwa mu ne nyoma a wantumi enwie adan hospitals ne nyoma ne nyina hye sa big push no emo yes ka aban na allocate ene call ye no 499.8 million so allocation for no academic fee policy for first year students in public tertiary institutions. Some so share bo say obia or call university first year wa ban university nya private ones mo no obema wo obetua fees ne the amount ye bi se mu na fe wo se enye course bi ade no obetua humanities nkwenti mimi ba ni say on qualify or business school or say professional courses in anka ho nti wo ye medicine wo ye law wo ye business wo ye agric mo de mo nka ho ne mo sociology fo ni social work fo no ne modern languages fo no mo de school fees mo dem wo say obetua e de amamo no so no 292.4 million and also allocation for distribution of free sanitary pads to female students in primary and secondary schools. ɛno ho asɛm ne yɛ kan sɛ na JHS for no nso ɛyɛ ana primary no sɛ JHS kan deɛ ne nka wɔ so yɛ ni basic na why ne primary ne deɛ na kyerɛ sɛ ntoto fifi mu class 1 focus class 6 ne nko a na nso so oba start bu ne nsa yɛ 12 years ɛkɔ no a wɔn adu JHS no ɛhɔ no mu na adwuma wɔ mo ho kɛseɛ ɛno so yɛatena si paadi sika no yɛbɛhwɛ 242.5 million cedis allocation to support victims of the Akosomo Dams village. Let me say last year or two dam na ye bie ye twifa nkrofo so free water region eastern region baby kura omoso nya chefa ne bi e ma tema baby kura ye se ba ho kakra sika aban ne de koye mpata e de ama omanfo no no ebi no ne o ma sai ya besi no mo de da tentim akoye asefem sem 200 million cedis allocation to support victims of the tidal wave disaster in Ketu South constituency honso nko de Ketu South no na difference between the yeka no ni we no eno ne ye den ya Akosomo tidal wave ni Ketu South de no eno so say the same water region wa enti a difference ne ye de he ya chemu a Ketu South fo nko de ansa na the entire water region eno so me sure say Dr. Mojo turn it down ti ye bedi ho nkomo ye fi wa 3.5 billion allocation for the free secondary education program there's a free SHS no 3.5 billion na the na doctor kan no say ye nya 6 billion ewo e-levy ho na say the 3.5 ebo we ka nka e-levy no betimi aketa for free SHS no nanso ye share ho bonti aban na ye fi ho e be pesika na dia ye ho adwuma 564.6 million cedis allocation for comprehensive provision of free curriculum based textbooks na say book ahodo a aban to edeme school mofra say JHS basic and also senior high no and also book enwoma no eho eka na ewo ho no aban ne beto no supply their school nkwada 788 billion cedis allocation for school feeding program and also mofra ko school didie title no kwa basic ho no ayo 1.788 me pamocho mo fancheme 1.788 billion allocation for school feeding program nti sika aban no betwa edi akoma school feeding ni so wotimi nya ne sa no de kotua yempe yentua yeka no ya na ye pressure pressure to man so dodo nti eno so ne de be feeding kwada no 145.5 million cedis allocation for capitation grant tinache say eno so eho nsem no capitation grant no eho ensem no no so sika e be komu eno no 203 million cedis allocation for payment of teacher training allowances. Just training allowances na wentry okoba aye no afedi obetria or the 200 and over million and a dia shemu a or the be teacher training colleges no nti news bi abeto odwa na nsen se oso watwamu no na just wenye ntwam nti aban ne betua 480 million cedis allocation for payment of nursing training allowances nti nurse for the enso nie teacher for the no atwamu na nurse for so the aba nti sika no se de na poso finance minister expansion no na nie 9.93 billion cedis allocation for national health insurance scheme ehia papa health insurance na ye bibi food bi ase wo ho se guo wo nhye dan hunu ba bi ana ho oden no esinam nti aban ne se o de over 9 billion ebetum 2.81 billion Ghana road fund and also na ya kwan no ye de be ye ho adwuma aban otwa mu yi ya kwan ni bi nanso still no bebre aka pa ye kuma se bontin ya sokora akwan ni bebre aka nti ye me ni ko ho no so ye 7.51 billion cedis allocation for district assembly common fund ya no na assemblies ahodo won so de bo won ho bra e wo won nkro nketua no emu na nsan a ye kofofa caterpillar ne nyoma riabu iba ye misa common fund ni bi wo ho no an ye de beto oil ne fuel de agumu na ekwan ne de atwitwa so na makoni abedie ayemre e de amomanfo 1.5 billion allocation for agriculture for economic transformation agenda tinache say agric de ne 1.5 billion nti eno so edie eno no 551.3 million a seed fund for the establishment of the Women's Development Bank and also Abraham opposition no campaign no mo ye ma bank e mo say emu nipa nyina ba ye mema emu nipa nyina ba ye ma including security fo nyina o mo be drive bullion vans ni bibia no de ma no ne nya ye de nti Women's Development Bank no e ho asem no 300 million cedis for national apprenticeship program and sanuduma no so obesu ade pamo obesu etibo obesu adien yo carpentry ni de ka ho ni nyina no eno so sika aban yetwa e de ato a afi ye de bebo eno so ho bra na yeyi e de ato 100 million cedis for a Jumewura program. Jumewura program means a Greek no ase. Nti wachichem ni nyina nkoye a Greek in nti emunsam no. Said ye de ato dwai de ba ye no ne abobo so no na near minority ni bi so keka no anaso say minority fo ni bi ka no was quarterly adjustment of electricity prices e wasem ni mu doctor de wesua ensem ni nyina from enura no me sure say de mebobo so yi e bi ni mu a we draw my attention was it no mention of job creation o man ka using get fund to fund free SHS increase cost of gas to power producers in trickle down abayen eso e wo form ha 24-hour economy ye deferred waiting for a proper consultation on the policy. Former finance minister, any betting tax assem. Economic growth of 5.7 in 2024 is against a projected growth of a little over 4%. No mention of mitigating the cost of living. And what children want, children quiet bit me faso ebe. Omoka transportation assem. Sa buy na obe kono ede ayalolo bus na electric cars ne buy. Abai we are silent also say public transport ebe ne den or twaso and also say oje musa 800 billion for the big push agenda. One day sweet, one factory, one village, one dam about Tampa, etc. All gone. And we can want some 78 million for Shamima Ufusu Kwache and Anama Pratt in the office of the president and the vice. Doctor, me more 2 minutes. If you telephone humanity, you monitor.
Well, 2 minutes. All right. Sir, Didi Kai, Mammy can't win a memra in some ways. You see,
okay, what's your phone lines in 10 years? Mema about 3 minutes.
Okay, in principle, no, I'm not against the removal of you know, but my point is alternatives are about my argument here revenue shortfall, and I hear me. And I just I had already told you, sir, the kind of monetary and fiscal policy I buy the person or running now, obviously, a Numa. So because you say we are targeting inflation because inflation was 23-something percent now they buy 11%. Now open saying creating Yuma very difficult, and so I'm not too surprised. I'm not too surprised in Yuma seminal job creation no and feature prominently in it because
now when society a problem here that's who we are being able because they talk about the peduma. That's a yentimi nya.
This year no percent or the working on the fundamentals.
Okay.
Maybe are going forward no.
Okay.
Ordinary other places. That is my opinion or my what I hope the government wants to do. Sir, free no maybe that ya na attack no. Na any the way I handle your social expenditures no. In fact, social spending naka me I have always maintained say naka me say IMF ebe ha Ghana magana atiso. But IMF say they don't have issues with social spending. What share kwanya ya faso ye free SHS. Kwanya ya faso ye school feeding program. You see this government is say free tuition fee for first year.
And I feel almost also a year for no. Already demono. Also I'm quite also be sure
in fact, we cannot be a wicked nation. Yeah, sure more men how. But I feel because of poverty cramp no. Wo mu here kwani afa mu. Nanka be say anka medical students ne nurses ne at the university level any ebia one essential one provide essential services amen and I can imagine mu nanka the mom kwa we di antesa
doctor no so the almost school fees ni boarding the boarding change sociology ne humanities for
ya ka se papa mo dey ohie nti na ya
papa ya mo chire me conclude ne sa almost fees ni boarding almost fee paying.
You know my opinion, my position is that Ghana is not in a good position financially to do some of these things. Inti Acheampong Akua anka nursing training allowance.
Any teacher training
yintwem. Sa academic tuition fee for free for first year for every sociology for that day yintwem. Nanka Ghana my any mrenyam kakra. Yintwem free IMF. Yemo ye breye ye settle your debt if you say settle be boy. Yen work on the fundamentals. Yen make inumamra. Economy ni year. Then we talk of some of these things. Now, my work IMF 17 times. Yen you go say my cra. Now, your cost yes are free. You say the mattress ni pillow you na kwa IMF because as it stands now, we are not even sure whether we are coming out of it next year. You see, because the time will be up. I think next year. Yes, but we are not sure because if you look at debt levels, from 2027 to 2028 krana year tuana any the year service this year krana there's no guarantee say you bet me free IMF extended credit facility comfortably next year. We have to be very careful how we handle these social spendings. And in my view, this trend of attempting to govern the state with manifestos of political parties are highly preposterous. Because
any policy book be other baby.
Obiba,
manifesto no de bayaduma.
Say, Bema who na say, or your bono cars market, metocamo, Messamo, not my area, Chinchana opposite no the eduma.
Someone say your campaign and on them. We need elections, so no song. Say, the Amodia line on name, who we need we are difference room.
And some member depend on us and came out the same member in the Sankam, Ghana member to Nipa power. And why projections and all the proposal are better. It is a Mima Bimuno, over power, what should be feasible, what should the reality on the ground. Portions are feasible, no one running. But we want to say, so be a campaigner, the Obekan or Chinchina, I said, or implementing manifestos, and these politicians all making huge promises. Okay, if we are going to be realistic with ourselves, so far, the Omakas Ombar Omedo, even when they attempt to do it, ecosystem, cathedral and ecosystem. Now, agenda 111, yet to say, a new operational. Now, but I never quite made money be seen. One district, one factory. No. See, I am say I buy no see we eliminate. But OPE policies me no are very useful.
Say
planting for food and jobs in a one district, one factory. Because what strengthen, what discuss agree we are not heading to what end? If we don't industrialize, we will always have balance of payment challenges and even exchange rate challenges. Because now for the finished product,
now the raw materials.
So for how long are we going to continue this cycle? And I think that the government would have to find a way of improving and establishing something that looks like one district, one F, if it is the name that is troubling. Nickname for at the
end of the day. Mr. Bonsu Yepon, the next very 2 minutes near there.
Mechan is a budget, you know. I say, ni saying, we are the MVP.
Yeah.
Into no cribby umbiano, if he say, sir, a banoma, a dead year, a boy. Emraso say, Yebema no crew muno, Yemu Timamu for. Share on my ye war SMEs. About 70%, about 70%. Our more 92% of NIPA employment. Creating about 92%. Now, Kwako in terms of we say Ejumara, I think about 100 million.
100 million.
Now support, victim support 242.5. A house is 200, which means about 400 and something. Near the Ejuma Brain, I'm more minor alcohol. We'll spend it just about I think 100 million. Na near Fasika Emre Aqua Ode sa no fees so Ebekanwa. There's a almost about 1 billion. Near Fasika Emre no Enumuno as saying near Ediskabe.
And I mean so crowd the Mentia Greek minister finance minister maybe say what capture the whole water region or baby in a K2 South. Why? Now Dr. Mekana was Mentia power, what do you mean? Get to South and come out and one. Oh, of course. Second, who should express and quite the woman's sanity. There was supposed to see in 30 seconds here.
I think, sir, you won't be ano. Yamfan tuja. Na yin na yin na yin tiase. Na yin share sapomunsu. Na yin to me and yen or say as on mine. Because Bosia Bono adoso. Yamu modia nianunsu and train ope. Yen or say na to me aboy as on mine.
With this one is a change beba. And now yenny any mumpire near Yame. Obiamon a bra.
Mean say because near Hono any abeka. Near Wachira, no, a dorsum, but you who here into free say, well, Yan near
will be an Juma, also be an Juma, de obey. I was now for Mr. Billy Bonsu, and I didn't know CCA. Nana Sana no, na yene Dr. Akasa, Evans Nunu. Ono economist and or financial management consultant. Mr. Billy Bonsu a business consultant and an entrepreneur. Me dey the Akua Asieduaa, me na me di dwuma ene. Yeah, sorry, I'm sometime with Acheampong and a sports crew no abeto amoso. Na we groovy mo a ekosi midday a di news no beto amoso. Na programs aka no nyina aba. Nyame yadom no de yenkwa chen a e kyan ya wo.